Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew Built Conicals. You can trust Brew Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew Built at morebeer.com.
Home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, beer drinkers.
Get ready for an all-new experience in information exchange and beer culture.
Your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers from around the globe
right to your home.
You're not just listening to broadcasters, it's the Brewcasters
on the Brewing Network.
Oh man, welcome to the Sunday show, everybody. Little bit of a late start. It's not really my fault. Pete took me out and got us drunk before the show, and however it goes today, I'm blaming it on Pete. We've really had a great day so far. I was kind of thinking that most of the great part of the show might have happened already. We're going to have to try to recreate everything now that we're here in the studio.
It was like the pre-interview.
We did a whole pre-interview with Pete. We've been hanging out all afternoon. We went to EJ Fair Brewery, and we went to Schooners in Antioch, and we absolutely had to get ourselves warmed up. And Pete Slosberg in the studio with us today, the artist formerly known as Pete's Wicked Ales, is I think what we could also call him. And he dragged us all over the neighborhood today.
That sounds really bad.
Yeah,
I was cooking.
I had to put a gun to Justin's head to make him go, though.
Yeah, it was.
And I was dragging us out of there, but we're here. I do apologize for the late start, but we got a great show lined up for you with the artist formerly known as Pete's Wicked, and we're going to talk all about Pete's Wicked Ales, one of the pioneering guys in craft beer, and I'm excited about it. I've heard a lot of good stories already, and we're going to get those out for you. If you want to ask Pete questions yourself, as always, 888-401-BEER is our number. You can Skype us at the Brewing Network, and you can also join, you have 2 chat moderators today. You can join JP in the chat room right now. He's going to be helping you out. And a little bit later on, we decided that there was too many mash paddles in the mash tun last week, so we brought a female in to help you in the chat room. We've got Stephanie going to help out in the chat room with JP.
What would that be, like a spray ball?
Yeah, that's like throwing some sort of a gasket or something.
Okay, thank you.
To the mash tun, right? Yeah, thank you. I didn't have that analogy ready. I only had my first analogy ready, and then you challenged me.
It sounds like it, but, we still love you anyway sometimes.
So Stephanie will be helping you out in the chat room, too, and you can ask us all the questions you want there. It's really going to be an exciting show. There is no Dr. Scott with us today, though, unfortunately. And Pete, by the way, he was real upset that he didn't get to come meet you. He's our normal wacky co-host. So in his place, the great Sean O'Sullivan co-host.
How you doing? No, I got to talk to Sean again?
It's great to be here. It's been a long time.
It has. It's been a little while. We've kept you out of the studio for a little while.
Why is that, Justin?
Well, we just felt that we had had our Sully fill, and then we realized how wrong we were.
It wasn't like BO or anything like that, was it?
No,
well, just a little bit. Just a little.
No, not at all. But Sully and also friends with Pete, we figure what better guy to help us get out all the nitty-gritty on that. So Sully's in here helping us out with that. What other announcements do I have for you? I announced the anniversary show last week.
You did, and that was an exciting one.
It was exciting. I don't know if you guys all heard that, but it's at the Bistro in Hayward. It's going to be Sunday, June 3rd, and I'm working on a lot of surprises. In fact, me and Sully were talking about a couple of them today.
Good stuff.
So hang in there over the coming weeks. We're going to be telling you something. I've got a little bit of a beer competition that's going to be happening. I'll give you details about that.
Please do.
I've got, I told you last week that Cold Hot Crash, the band that we all know and love here on the station, is going to be headlining the show, and I'm working on 2 other bands, and one of them I already know, but I'm not ready to tell you.
Is it Coldplay?
You got me.
Oh, Sean, right out of the gate.
Damn it. And now the surprise is gone.
I'm going then. I'm going.
Playing the anniversary party.
The opposite way. As fast as I can. So, by the way, the chat room is already aflame, demanding pictures of the new host. The new chat room host.
Is that right?
Demanding me.
That did not take them long at all. I don't actually know if there are any pictures of Stephanie floating around the web. Like, I don't even know if you could do a search and find. She's pretty top secret. Just take a picture of the Daniela blow-up doll there in the corner, and that's
everybody. Just look at that.
Yeah, that's our consistent chat moderator there. So I don't know. Maybe we could. I don't think we could get any pictures up of Stephanie, and I think that's a violation of her privacy.
I agree.
It's a violation of her privates. You don't want to do that. I think that's all the announcements I have today. Other than the fact that we had some great barley wine out at Schooners, award-winning barley wine. Even I think they won not only at the GABF but at.
It was so funny because Craig, the brewer out there, along with Sean Burns, the owner, he was talking. And he was reeling off all the awards they won for this thing, and I was just, yeah, right, that sounds, yeah. Can I get some more of the O2?
Yeah.
I mean, your lips are moving, but my glass is empty.
Yeah, enough of the award talk. Start pouring, buddy. Yeah, you're right.
No, it's another funny story is that that was the first time I've ever been out there, and they've been open for almost 6 years, and Sean Burns and I were kind of going down similar paths, trying to open up our own place, and I opened mine, and he would come in and sit there and kind of like try to take it in because he was going through the same hoops and hurdles that I was going through.
Yeah.
And I feel ashamed that it took Pete, which is great, to bring me out there.
Right, you've never been.
Ashamed, even.
Sean's just, he's that kind of guy.
He's just a shameful kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, and this is the other thing, and this might spur on some questions for you folks at home if you want to ask later in the show. I didn't realize, first of all, I knew that Pete is a rock star, but he's not just a brewing rock star. He's kind of a ladies' man. Like,
ooh, really?
There were these 18-year-old girls
coming up 23, please.
You are killing me.
And they're coming up and they're going and they're like, I mean, me and Chad are sitting there. We're not ugly guys necessarily.
Well,
and
I guess if you sit next to each other, it's hard to pick one out. So
man, they're like elbowing us in the chin to get out of the way, and they're like, "Hey, we just wanted to talk to Pete." And then they're gushing like, "Pete, I just want you to know, man, I've loved your beer.
I just wanted the O2 barley wine. The heck with them."
He didn't care.
It was funny, and then the cameras came out. And
yeah, the man's a rock star. He's all around.
Man.
JP, if you want to start to, maybe you can catch some crumbs. Start hanging out with Pete.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to catch crumbs when I'm laying on my couch watching the Sharks game this afternoon. But that's all right.
It's your fault.
Well, it was a good time, and it's definitely interesting to see when you hang out with these quote-unquote beer celebrities. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're getting people in the chat reminiscing about how they got their first drunk on Pete's Wicked.
On Pete's, yeah. I think we're going to get a lot of that tonight.
I think I was probably one of those people, off the record.
Yeah. Well, at least like your first, good beer drunk was probably on Pete's Wicked. So exciting stuff, and that's what we're going to talk about today, and I'm looking forward to it. Pete's been a very gracious guy. He drove all the way out here from Wisconsin or something.
It was a 3-day drive to get here.
It was amazing. He wanted to do a phone-in. Sully wouldn't let him, so he drove out from wherever.
He bribed me with a growler of his double IPA, and it worked.
It's really easy. You give a man beer, you get him drunk, and he'll do anything.
He'll do whatever.
Oh, is that women? I forget.
I mean,
or JP.
Both. Wait.
What's the right answer?
All right, it's time for everybody's favorite part of the show. Not that they've told me that, I just decided.
Yeah.
It's feedback.
Oh my God!
You've got mail.
Kick ass.
I had a correction come in this week.
Uh-oh.
Correction emails are good because we get off on tangents on a lot of our topics, and
Sure.
we're in the middle of this competition series that we're doing. We did competition part 1 last week, and by the way, Pete's entered his beers in some competitions before. We can
Really?
ask him some questions later.
Nice.
His homebrews, I mean, not just the Pete's Wicked. And then we're doing part 2 next week. We're going to be doing lots of judging. So and by the way, a lot of people have been sending their beer to me. I appreciate that. If you want to send beer, you got to get it here by the show next Sunday. Just send me an email and I'll give you the address. And
Can I have beer sent to me too?
Isn't
All you got to do is start an internet radio station.
You're going to find, Pete, that while you started your company to become a successful person, I started mine just to drink free beer.
That's successful. What are you getting at, Justin?
Yeah. So send me an email, and we're going to have, I think, did you talk to Pratt? Is he coming in next week?
I have not, but I know he will.
Okay.
I'll call him tomorrow.
I think we might end up having 3 BJCP certified judges in here, plus Dr. Scott doing some official judging. So we got that going on. But a little correction, and he wanted to expound. The great John Palmer.
Ooh.
Yeah. John listens to every show.
It's not too bad when you have John Palmer correct you.
It's not, although almost every show I got to get some email from John telling me where I fucked up the week before. And it's rough. It's hard to hear sometimes because I look up to John, and I wish once he could send me one telling me how great the show was.
But it wasn't about beer. It was about a grammatical error in a sentence you made or something like that. That's what it should be, really.
Actually, the history of aluminium dates back to the late 1600s.
It was very similar. No, he wanted to talk about, we mentioned the appearance of your bottle when you send it into a competition, but we didn't discuss why that's on the BJCP score sheet, and he actually had a bit of great information. So he says, Justin, first, don't let the no-talent hack stuff get you down. I know that you're working to the best of your ability. Which isn't really a nice way to put it. I'd almost rather be called a no-talent hack than say, I know you're working to the best of your ability.
It's like if he was here, he'd pat you on the head. Well, you're trying, honey, and that's what counts.
Exactly. I'm like his retarded radio friend.
You'll do fine.
He says, second, I think a key point that everyone missed on last week's show is why bottle appearance is on the BJCP score sheet. It's so that you can make allowances for effects of either bottle conditioning or counter-pressure filling. For example, the steward brings the bottle to the table unopened. You pick up the bottle and check for a yeast layer and fill level. If there is a yeast layer, you note it on the score sheet that it's bottle conditioned. Now let's say that when the beer is poured, it's hazy. So now you can allow for that and say, okay, it was bottle conditioned, so you can allow for a little bit of haze. And he goes on about that a little bit. He says, next, let's say that the fill level was too low, which would be more than 1.5 inches of headspace, and there was no yeast layer. That bottle was probably counter-pressure filled, or maybe even just filled from the Cobra tap. So he says, if I taste a little oxidation in the beer, then I know the oxidation probably came from the filling method and large headspace, and I can tell the brewer that in the comments. So he makes some great points here. It's really all about feedback in these cases, and then he's able to say, you didn't fill it right, and you're getting a little oxidation there.
Right.
He says, likewise, carbonation level. I always make sure that we don't open a beer until it's ready to be judged, and I assess carbonation level right after pouring visually. He says, does it seem to have the right carbonation level for the style? If it does not, and it is bottle conditioned, then there's a priming error. If it was not bottle conditioned and low for style, then it was a filling error, and I can make appropriate comments. So, overall, he's just saying it's important because he wants to be able to give people the appropriate feedback when he's filling out the scoring sheet. And I think that's
pretty
great.
good, yeah.
He does say, I never mark down a beer for bottle appearance, fill level, or bottle conditioning versus kegged and filled. You're never taking off points for that. He's not marking them down. He said it's all about judging the beer and understand where those flavors and aromas came from. So that's all I wanted to say, is that it's good to be able to decide what flavors he's getting or off flavors based on the bottle appearance. So good piece of feedback from the great John Palmer, and eat me at the same time, John. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, and keep it to yourself.
Here's a good one that I got from one of our listeners who was in Iraq. We get a lot of feedback from guys that are over in Iraq, and they like our show over there. And this guy just got out. He says, hey, guys, I made it back from Iraq safely. I brewed a batch of beer on March 26th, almost 1 year of not brewing. So I think a good round of applause that he finally got to brew a beer. That's fantastic. And he says, I didn't...
He survived. What do you mean?
I was just thinking
it's not going well over there.
Yeah, it's true. And he says, I didn't screw up anything like Justin usually does. So that's good, too. Anyway, I start 30 days of much-needed vacation on April 1st. He starts it today. And he's rented a car for 2 weeks, and he's going to drive around Japan looking for microbrew. And he wants any suggestions. He says he's done a Google search, but that didn't provide too much useful information. Maybe some of the TBN listeners might be able to make some suggestions. He's going to start his trip in Hiroshima and head towards Tokyo. He's heard about a place called Harbor Brewery in Tokyo. Says he's going to give that a try. And any information would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for everything the Brewcasters do. I truly believe that you fuckers help me maintain my sanity while deployed in Iraq.
There's actually...
it's good.
Semper Fi from Mark.
There's a guy over there, Brian Harrell, who's an American who lives in Japan, and he puts out an email newsletter about events and beers in Japan. So he maybe wants to do a Google search for it's like BRYANHARRELL.
He's also
Brian
the correspondent for the Celebrator beer magazine out of Hayward, California. So if you contact the Celebrator, you should be able to get in touch with Brian.
There you go, Brian Harrell or Celebrator. That's a good. So he does a whole newsletter about Japanese beer.
He'll send an email out about what's going on over there. So it's a good source.
And you listeners out there, if you've got some tips too, why don't you go ahead and maybe we can start it in the Beer Radio thread of the forum, and we can help this guy out. And I'll send him an email back to check our forum, and we'll give him some tips of where to find beer in Japan. So I think that's cool. The guy got out of there. He's going straight for the beer. Good man. There's probably going to be some prostitutes involved somewhere along the way. You can be
hopefully.
Sure. Hey, Justin, love the BN. You guys are awesome. I just got an account on Verb.com at the request of some friends and joined a few groups. I searched around and found that there's no Brewing Network group, so I started one. He added the BN logo and hopes I don't mind, etc., etc. So I guess we now, if you go to Verb.com, you know, there's all these internet, communities going on.
Yeah.
I don't do any of them, but there's like you got that whole MySpace thing happening. Everyone's like, you need a MySpace page, and I just think the thing's ridiculous.
You say that like you're 80 years old. What's this MySpace thing?
It's just...
Hello?
You have a MySpace page, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey, you and I should be friends.
How do you think I started dating Stephanie?
From MySpace. So people start these groups on these things, which I think is great.
Yes.
In fact, someone posted a different group on our forum, and I couldn't figure out even how to use it. This is how retarded I am with these groups.
Did you have your old woolen button-up sweater on, too?
I did, and lucky I could figure out how to use that.
Yeah.
Dial phone.
Do they still have the internet?
So go to Verb.com and you can search for Brewing Network and find a group there based around the Brewing Network. I don't mind if you guys do that. He was kind of sending me the heads up in case it bothered me, but I think it's great. I think you guys should be starting beer communities all over the place.
Unless they get too big, and then you send a cease and desist letter and you sue them.
Yeah. Don't scare me with all the groups on the internet. It's almost time for the show.
All of these things could happen.
That was Mayo Sullivan.
You want a nice...
That was me? I don't know. Okay.
You want a nice email, Sully?
I like nice emails.
It's not about you.
Let me write one then.
It says, Justin, I started listening to the Brewing Network about 3 months ago, and in that time I've been primarily listening to the Sunday show. I started at the beginning, and just last week caught up to real time. That's a lot of listening he's been doing in 3 months. I've listened to the show in my car, on a train, and recently on a series of east-west-east coast flights, where I imagine the people on the flight had no idea why I was happy and amused, even when the flight was delayed and we were sitting on the tarmac. That's cool stuff, Sully. I like keeping people smiling when everyone...
I've been traveling a lot lately, and I've been listening to the show as well.
And do we keep you smiling?
I smile sometimes.
That's occasionally, when you hear your own voice.
Especially when I'm stuck on the tarmac.
I've completely enjoyed the show and love the mix of a warm group of friends and the extended group of solid experts of practical information and geeky science. I just started brewing, and your show has helped me really move from novice to someone who thinks they know more than they do in a short time. The important thing is that I and my friends are drinking my own homebrew on tap, and it's really decent and improving. Says, even though I've never called into the show and don't know personally of your inner circle of friends, I was still sad when I finally caught up on the podcast and was ready to start listening live, and then learned that Daniela decided to move back to Germany.
She passed away.
She's dead to us. No, only to Doc. Oddly, although this is irrelevant to my life in comparison, I found after listening to so many hours of the show, I was caught up in both your attempt to make a living out of the Brewing Network, your personal relationships, and the fun and casual vibe of the show. And then he goes on, he gets a little more personal there. I'm not going to read all that. But he said a lot of nice stuff, and it's good to hear that people, we do this thing because it is kind of a family, and it's your show, not ours. So we're glad that you feel a part of it. And everyone's still feeling the aftermath of Daniela heading back to the fatherland.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird down there. This is the first time I've been here. She hasn't been here.
It smells...
Hello, Sean. How are you?
Are you going to clean this place?
Yes.
It does smell a lot worse now that she's gone. I'll tell you that right
Sorry.
now. Pete, usually it smells good in here. So don't mind the BO.
It smells like there's a dog in here.
And there's not. That's just me. By the way.
You have someone on the phone, but I don't have your thing up.
I got to turn my thing on.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. All right, let me just take the phone. Caller, you're on the air. What's happening?
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing great. Who are we talking to?
Hey, this is Matt from Idaho.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, I had a Bruin question for you guys.
Okay.
Baseball season's coming up. It's starting today.
Yeah.
And I'm brewing some beers that I want some really, really low gravity, kind of low hopped beers that I can drink a ton of. And if they go into extra innings, maybe drink a few more.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but I don't want to brew any light beers. I mean, in the past I've brewed like Scottish 60s and Kolsch's, but I'm kind of hoping maybe you guys had some more ideas for like lower gravity beers. Don't have a ton of hops, but still have some flavor to them.
Bitter.
Belgian Wit. Great summertime beer. So refreshing, a little tart, very thirst quenching.
Agreed. Yeah, that's an excellent one to do. I think that an English bitter is known to one that you can sit at the pub and drink all afternoon, although it's not as light as the Belgian Wit, like Pete says.
We brew a beer at the 2-1-A right now, brand new beer called Bitter American, and it's a 3.6 ABV, like a light IPA basically, and so it's got a lot of hop flavor, hop aroma, and a little bit of body to it, and it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So you just want to pay attention to we up the mash temperature on the beer so we get a little bit more body in it, and obviously have a lot less grain than our normal IPA, but I would play around with that.
You don't have to brew a light beer. You just got to brew, I guess, I never liked the word, but you got to brew a session beer, so it's lower in alcohol. And a lot of the wheat beers, not just like a Belgian Wit, but a lot of the wheat beers can be, and it doesn't have to be a Hefeweizen to be a wheat beer. If you're not into that kind of clovey banana thing, you can do all sorts of different wheat malt.
Yeah, the great thing about adding wheat malt is that you get a lot of body out of it, and you get a sort of a biscuity, bready flavor out of it. So
I'll accept that.
Okay, and it's just got a lot going on for a lighter beer. So
the wheat adds a tartness too, which I like. During the summer, would you rather have a tart or a sweet lemonade or whatever aid during the summer, and you want typically tart for thirst quenching.
Yeah.
And the wheat adds that tartness that makes it so great during the summer.
There you go. That answer your question?
Yeah. So something with wheat in it. Try to mess around with something more with wheat.
Yeah, anything that if you go to Jamil's page on our website, just hit the Jamil button, and you'll end up getting to some of his recipes. And he's got some lighter ones on there too. And a while back, Dr. Scott did the Belgian Wit style. For the Jamil show, so the first one that Pete mentioned, and he's got a great recipe up there, I think, from that. And Dr. Scott brews an excellent Belgian Wit. That might be a good place to start.
Oh, great.
So, all right.
Well, thank you.
Cheers, brother.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you, and Rat Pad.
Yeah, there you go. We haven't even said it.
A fellow rat patter. How about that?
That's what we call this place.
All right. In lieu of there being no Daniela's World Vigorosely for a couple of weeks, I thought I'd bring back the news segment for a little bit. Although I think Daniela might be doing a segment for us next week. But I found some really good stuff in the news this week that I thought we could cover. And I might have a game for us to play after the break. Yeah, I invented a new game.
Yeah?
I like games.
Is it the quiet game?
It's, all right, everybody be quiet.
Yeah.
No, it's, you guys know I like to do new games and stuff, and I don't know if this one's gonna work or not. I thought of it in the wee hours, and it sounds fun. We'll see how it goes over, I guess. But, here's an interesting story. Sully, I thought of you for this, and I don't know why, I just did.
That's nice.
Israeli entrepreneurs reportedly have developed a beer that contains laughing gas. Yediat Akronot. Am I pronouncing that right, Pete?
Absolutely.
You're the well, actually, there's two Jews in the room. I should have asked Stephanie if I'm pronouncing that right as well. He reported Sunday that two Israeli chemical... Actually, I think that's probably a paper, not a he. Reported Sunday that two Israeli chemical engineers have come up with a way of incorporating nitrous oxide into an imported Czech beer. The health ministry approval is pending, and they're going to start selling the product as soon as that happens. According to the report, the beer is likely to cause its drinkers to laugh, though the amount of laughing gas bubbles the brew contains is small and they quickly leave the body. The entrepreneurs also plan to market a similar hybrid vodka. Yeah.
I have to laugh because that's gas going in. When we first did our commercial Wicked Ale, it was made with extract, and we found that it was huge in causing flatulence.
Is that right?
It wasn't until we went to all grain that we got rid of the gas on the outside.
Is that what was the specific thing you discovered that was causing the flatulence? Was it just
Well, we guess it was the malt extract. We were doing a brew and trying to get it bottled, and I went out to get pizzas for everybody while everybody was bottling, and came back, and the brewery did not smell like a brewery.
Was it the pizzas?
That's kind of fun,
though.
though.
It was before the pizzas got there.
Well, the project has elicited censure from Israel's anti-drug authority, which noted that laughing gas is, in fact, a controlled substance. Don't tell Dr. Scott that, by the way. I would buy that beer. Sully, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that makes me laugh, Justin. I feel funny. Like JP.
Yeah, you go.
JP, do I really have to take this call?
I mean, what am I going to do, man? What?
Sully, there's a guy on the phone.
Oh, jeez. Why do you have to begin it like that?
He wants to make a toast for some dude that died, and JP says he sounds like he's on the verge of tears already.
I can't say no to someone like that, man.
Wow. Well.
How intense this is going to be.
Jesus, right. Let's talk him off then.
All right, listen, caller, if you can hear what's going before I put you on. If we start making fun of you and that bothers you, then hang up now, because that just might happen. It can't be a big downer. If it's your mom or something, I won't make fun of you. All right, you got to do a toast or what?
Yeah.
What's going on? What happened?
Joe Murphy of the Farpoint Media family, he's a podcaster. He's an awesome dude, man. He was just one of the good folks you've ever met, one of the sweetest people in the world.
Hey, hang on one second.
Today.
Hang on. Nobody knows the Farpoint Media. Let's get some perspective before we say who it is. What's the podcast that you guys do, the Farpoint Media does?
The Farpoint Media does a number of science fiction podcasts, but then they also do Speaking of Beer.
That's what it is, Speaking of Beer, which, by the way, is a pretty decent podcast, everybody. I've listened to it.
Yeah, Charlie the Beer Guy is one of the people who works with Farpoint. So.
Okay, so who is the guy who works with them? What does he do that you're talking about?
Joe Murphy was one of the regulars. He was one of the major people who was on like 3 or 4 of their shows.
Okay.
And he was just a great guy, and he died of cancer today at 2 o'clock, actually. And so
that's terrible.
I just wanted to do a shout-out and a toast.
Hey, that's fair enough. I'm glad you called to do that, actually. We'll all do a toast here in the studio. Everybody's got a beer to Mr. Murphy. That's I'm sorry to hear that. Cheers, everybody. And wow.
And for more information about it, you can find out at joemurphymemorialfund.org, one word.
Okay. How old was he?
He was a great guy.
How old was he?
He was only 34, I think.
Oh God, I don't like to hear that.
That's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that, actually. Bad. My condolences go to everybody who knew him and the family, too. I'm real sorry to hear that. Thanks for
giving us...
Rat Pad, exactly.
Give us the website once more.
Joe Murphy Memorial Fund, all one word, .org.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Cheers. Where was he calling from?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I just found that Speaking of Beer podcast the other day, too. It's all right. Guy does a good job. And I saw that it was part of that media group. I hate to hear that stuff. You know, we had Linda not too long ago, and...
Yeah, it was a bummer. But, he outlived Jesus. That's pretty good.
That's true. Anytime you outlive Jesus, you're doing all right,
JP, thanks for putting it in perspective.
Yeah. That's why I hang out with JP.
I feel okay now.
Yeah, every time I start to get down, JP's like, hey, well, you're not crippled.
Yet.
Yeah, at least I haven't hit you in the face, right?
Yeah, things like that. Hey, I didn't kick you in the nuts yet today.
That's like how JP handles his girlfriends.
What are those?
Yeah, true. Well, that's too bad.
Poor sharks.
That is,
hey, they won.
Okay, how about this? I got another story, Sully. This one you just went through recently, but
rehab. Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to talk about that. Jesus.
No, remember the beer law they just passed? That you're allowed to give away beer now?
Yes,
sampling?
Yes, sampling. Yes.
Well, now it's happening in Wisconsin. A bill's making its way through the state assembly that would allow liquor and grocery stores to offer free samples of beer to customers. Assembly Bill 122 has support from retailers and microbrewers because it would give them an opportunity to market their products to a larger segment of the population and compete with the larger companies, which is why Sully was kind of back in the one here in California. The bill's author, whatever his name, it doesn't matter. He comes from the same city as Leinenkugel, who's experiencing quite a revolution, by the way.
Falls.
Like, Leinenkugel's been around for years, but now they're really, that whole retro thing's kind of kicking ass for them. Them and Pabst, they're really seeing a growth spurt out of that. Some law enforcement...
Cans are coming back.
Now, the same... 21st Amendment, it's at
563 2nd Street.
2 blocks from AT&T Park. Some law enforcement officials and alcohol abuse prevention folks fear it's bad public policy. Same thing that went on here, too.
It's the crap that goes on with the neo-prohibitionists.
People thinking that they're just like... It doesn't mean you're allowed to give away the whole tank that you just brewed.
It's, it's like, heaven forbid their kids would see a beer ad, too.
But this is interesting.
I have an opinion about that.
Wisconsin has the highest rate of binge drinkers in the country.
Let's toast to that right now.
Very rapidly and in quick succession.
And central Wisconsin is above the state average, so they're even higher. There are a lot of places in our community for people to get a drink, said Portage County District Attorney. People with alcohol issues can't stop at one or two. One of the ways they deal with their problem is to avoid situations where they will be tempted. A grocery store should be a safe place. So I guess he's concerned that people are they need bread, they're a recovering alcoholic, and some dude is in the bread aisle handing out free beer.
No, come on, just try it. No, I really can't.
I gotta go to the eggs. I gotta get eggs.
You'll like this. This will be the best beer you've ever had.
I don't know. I'm recovering.
I gotta think of it from that perspective. I do wonder if I was a recovering... I mean, there's something about free beer that, whether you're an alcoholic or not, it's pretty irresistible.
Yeah.
And there's a problem with that?
So, an interesting point there. Let's see. The bill passed unanimously out of the Senate Affairs Committee earlier this month and will be scheduled soon for a full floor vote. It's already legal to give free samples of wine at grocery and liquor stores in Wisconsin. Now, here is the heart of the bill, everybody, and this is the part that the brewers in California focused on, too. It's that wine guys have always been allowed to hand out free samples of their wine. Of course, it depends on your liquor license, but it's never really been a big issue. People assume that you should be allowed to taste wine. And it's really part of us getting craft beer into this, into the same realm as being something that is tasted and that has variety, and that you really should try to figure out if you like this style or that style, just like you do wine. That the beer guys finally said, wait a second, why can we not give tastes of our beer if the wine guys can do it with their wine?
And the liquor guys, that's the irony of it. I mean, here you are, you're able to go out and sample people on hard liquor. I mean, why has beer not been part of that? So it's nice to have it kind of turning the tide there.
So one of the proponents says, hey, of course we're carding people for the samples, just like we would if they're buying it. Some people are hesitant to spend money on a beer that they haven't tried before, he said, and this would give them a chance to sample our product before they purchase it. It's really all the same things that the wine people would advocate of why they should be able to let people come taste their wine. So.
Yeah, there is some, the craft brewers actually had a concern that it was a bill in California that was sponsored by AB. It was pushed through by AB. Yeah. And we were all worried that they're going to go out and give free beer and kind of push us out of the marketplace in a lot of ways, because we wouldn't be able to compete with them at that level because we're small craft brewers.
Yeah.
And so there were some restrictions that were put on it because the bill was going to pass anyway. So the California small brewers really got behind it and kind of lobbied to have it restricted, so they can't hand you a beer. They have to pour it into a cup. They can only do 8 ounces a day. It's like there's all these things that are behind it.
You can also do it only so many times per year,
yes,
so it's not like you can show up every Friday at the local bar and start handing out bud. You know, it's a very restricted thing, and
because
I think that's fine.
All of us, been to college for the most part, and I think that I'd be down there.
Of course. It's free beer.
In a second.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't care if you're a connoisseur or not. I mean, free beer says something to the heart. Like, it speaks to you right here. And it draws you out of your hole. Even JP would leave the Sharks game on his couch for free beer. Maybe not that much.
Yeah.
He just looked at you like, are you crazy talk, man?
I'd sit up straight.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Did you want to chime in before I take a break?
Yeah, just
go ahead.
With this tasting, one of the things we found with beer is that we're trying to promote craft beer as great full-flavored beer compared to the industrial stuff. But we're also trying to say beer can work with whole different areas of food. And one of the nice things is if you can taste beer in a grocery store, you can team with vendors from other categories, cheeses or tomato sauce or you name it. And you can highlight not only how good the beer is, but how well it can team with other food groups. And it's a great way to promote, it's not just wine and food anymore, but beer can work with all sorts of food groups.
Yeah, it's true. And a lot, and you know, we're all immersed in the beer community, and you listeners also, so you all know that. But not everybody knows that. And this is great for the average person maybe going to the grocery store or somebody else who doesn't know that. And you're absolutely right. You know, they may be a chocolate fan, and you could turn them into a beer fan real quick just by pairing those two things together. So, an excellent point. All right, we're here with the artist formerly known as Pete's Wicked Ales, and he's going to help us talk all about craft brew history here in a little while. Call us 888-401-BEER or join us in the chat room. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
My workday's done. Go grab a shower. Let's hit the pub. It's happy hour. If we get bombed, who gives a damn? I'm not as drunk as you think I am. Those chicks right there don't look too good, but 3 more beers, I guess I would. It's either them or my right hand. I'm not as think as you drunk I am. So buy another round. We'll sit right here and drink them down. Get everyone another beer. You'll have to kick us out of here. Say, are you girls waiting on your friends? What did you say? You're lesbians. Bartender cancel those 2 drinks. I'm not as in as you drunk, I think. This beer is moving like a train. I think my lizard needs a drain. But first I'll have a double shot. I'm drunk, you think, as you am is not. So buy another round. We'll sit right here and drink them down. Get everyone another beer. You'll have to kick us out of here. This bathroom's nice as it can be. It's got 4 walls. I've puked on 3. Oops, here comes more. I'll use the sink. I'm not as thrunk as you am, I dink. I put that bouncer right in his place. I smacked his elbow with my face. He's lucky that it's closing time. Drunk am is not as you think you I'm. So buy another round. We'll sit right here and drink them down. Get everyone another beer. You'll have to kick us out of
wait till you can pour it out of your own kegerator.
I mean, your friends will look at you with awe.
And it's just hot.
It is?
It's so super hot.
The home of live beer radio. TheBrewingNetwork.com. Because like beer, radio shouldn't suck. You're listening to The Session. You're listening to The Brewing Network. Because like beer, radio shouldn't suck.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're here with Pete Slosberg, the founder of Pete's Wicked Ales, and we're going to be talking to him in just a couple of minutes all about how he started that company. I know you all know of it. It was probably the first decent beer you had, especially if you were a college kid around the time it was coming out. And he's got some great stories. We're going to get into that. You can reach us at 888-401-BEER if you want to call, or you can join JP in the chat room, and Stephanie's going to be in there helping out soon. Just hit the Chat Now button right on our homepage, thebrewingnetwork.com. Hit the Chat Now button. It'll take you right into the chat room. And you can also Skype us at Brewing Network. So you want to do this game that I thought of? I don't know if it's that great.
Does it involve any sort of lubricant?
No.
Oh, then okay.
No,
forget
it. Then you're out.
A social lubricant.
I'm gonna need I want a caller. 888-401-BEER. Somebody call in. I need a caller contestant to play it. The game that I invented is called Spam or Not. And I found through looking through my feedback emails and then also my spam folder, the topics, you have to summarize your email to get someone to read it.
Yes.
The topics are very similar in my spam folder as they are from my listener folder.
Are you sure you don't have, your special friend, maybe, you think is...
Well, and I sometimes have a hard time deciding if I should open the email or not.
Right.
So I thought we could play... I would read you some of the topics, and you could decide if they're spam or not. Hence, Spam or Not.
I'm game.
Yeah.
You think we should try? I don't know if it's going to be as funny as it was in my head in the middle of the night when I thought of it, but it sounded to me like a good game and just an easy way to get a quick bit of entertainment into the show. 888-401-BEER. I think we got a caller right now. Caller, you're on the air. Who are we talking to?
How perfect.
Who we got here?
Yeah, who do you think it is, you douche?
How is it?
Mom, what are you doing?
How is it that people don't know they got to pick up the phone really quick if they want to defeat Bub to the
Dude, I didn't even get up. I had to get up, run across the house to get the phone. I mean, there was plenty of time.
I would have liked to see that though. Bub's in his underwear. He gets up. He sprints across the house,
lumbering. I could picture. I just saw Borat last night.
Good.
It's like the Borat's producer when he's running down the hallway.
Yeah, that's
like
what
that.
Bub
That's what I
looks
picture
like.
Bub as.
All right, you want to play?
I do not sprint anywhere.
You want to play Spam or Not with us?
Sure. What the hell?
All right. Here's what we'll do. I'm trying to.
Shouldn't we give it to someone who doesn't call all the time?
Yeah.
Well, if you ever got anybody other than me to call, then maybe that would be okay.
Yeah, maybe I should hang up on Bub and see if someone else will call. I'm going to hang up on you, Bub.
That's cool.
888-401-BEER. I do kind of want a new listener to play. It's easy. All you got to do is answer whether it's spam or not. I'll start with Pete. We'll just give him an example, okay? And I'll give you one, and all you have to do is say whether it was spam or not. That's okay.
Pressure. Oh my God, pressure.
Yeah,
I know. I feel like there should be tick, 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 tick.
Do 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 do.
Pete.
Okay. And I'm reading it. All of these are exactly how they were typed in my email.
Good.
Okay.
Or else it wouldn't be much of a game.
The choose is your.
Spam.
That was real. See, this is my point. I have a hard time deciding if these...
What are you saying about your listenership?
I know. It was a real email that was sent to us called The Choose is Real. Do we have a caller that's ready to play? Caller, you there?
Yeah.
Who are we talking to?
This is Chris from Tallahassee.
Oh, all right, good.
All
Now we're
right.
talking. We don't want to talk to Bub all the time, Chris. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing from him.
All right, so you got the name of the game?
Yeah, I think I got a handle on it.
Okay, all you got to do is say, spam or not. And the one that I just did with Pete, the choose is your, he thought was spam, was actually real. All right. So
Who wrote it?
So you can see what's
That's
happening.
what I want to know.
Okay, here you go. What the fuck?
All right, that's got to be real.
That was real. Yeah, that was somebody typing me about something we had said on the show that he was unhappy about. Okay?
All right.
It sucks what happened.
That's spam.
No, that's real. These are all real. It's unbelievable. Yeah. JP, keep score here. He's got one right and one wrong.
Snap. Chris. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I'm on it.
I'm all over that.
Okay. Are you ready this time?
That's real.
No, that's spam.
Ah.
I can't believe that I have to go through this every time I read my mail. Did you get that one?
What one?
I am not a homo. That was the headline. I am not a homo.
I sent that to you. That was me.
Well, there's not a whole lot of listeners that can say that.
Yeah.
So, I'll go for spam.
That's also real.
Good logic, though. I love the logic.
That is good logic. I'm telling you, the next big prize we give away should be based on this game, because it's impossible to tell which ones. Okay, learn to relax this time.
Real.
Spam. Yeah, you suck at this game.
Yeah, this is not good.
Let's get someone else.
Yeah, you want to try somebody else? All right, we'll keep your score, and we're gonna try somebody else.
All right.
All right, brother. I got a couple left. 888-401-BEER. What do you think? How's the game going, everybody?
I think it's great.
It is, it's not funny. It's not one of our funny, Beer Jeopardy games, but it is tough to figure out.
It is. It's taxing.
Yeah.
My mental ability.
You're having a rough time.
I am.
I can see it. Your head is turning red.
It's always that color. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's right.
Your hair is turning red now.
Yeah, now your hair is actually red. 888-401-BEER. I only got a couple questions left. We'll see who the master of spam or not is. Get somebody to call in. I just have a couple more left.
When CBS picks this up, you can say,
when Jay Leno steals it.
Yeah, what we got here is a spam or not spam.
Someone's going to steal spam or not,
It's
right?
spam or maybe.
Yeah. They steal they stole the internet from me, and now they're going to steal spam or not. I can tell.
They stole TV from me.
Yeah.
And talking and breathing.
Canned beer.
What?
Caller, you're on the air. Who are we talking to?
This is Andrew Morgan.
And where are you from, Andrew?
Santa Cruz.
Oh, all right. A local boy, sort of.
Andrew, why are you breathing hard?
Why are you using both your names?
Yeah. And Pete, you ever driven out to Santa Cruz? It's way the hell out there.
It's within the state, not like Concord.
Yeah. All right, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, spam or not, who are you selling products for?
That's real.
That is real. See, I thought for sure that was going to get spam.
You mean a listener sent that to you?
Yeah, they want because
what do they want to know?
They wanted to know how to support the Brewing Network. So if we were selling any books or shirts or anything like that for other people, they wanted to buy from us instead of.
That's just such a weird thing to put an array line.
I know,
subject line.
And this is why I never know whether to open.
Did Sean just call it an array line?
That's from my legal days.
Okay.
Sean was in prison for a while.
Exactly. Can't talk about it. I still can't sit down.
I don't know which ones I read already.
That's all right. He probably won't remember.
Hope it is better now. Did I read that already?
No.
Hope it is better now.
Oh God. That's spam.
You're right. That's spam.
Oh, I should probably be writing this down. Huh?
He's 2 for 2.
Okay.
Okay. What are the lessons to be learned here?
Ooh, that one's tough. I'm going to say real.
No, that's spam. That was a spam. I think I only have one more. I'm trying to figure out what did I read. I already read I'm Not a Homo. Which is my favorite one, by the way.
I'm not a homo.
Okay, remember to tell me later.
That's spam.
You're right, that's spam, and I think we have a winner there, right? What's the score?
3-1.
3-1. Oh, no. The other guy only got one right?
Yeah, and 4 wrong.
Is that right?
Yeah,
wow.
so.
Yeah, you did pretty good. I don't know. Are we going to send him something, JP?
You know, I have a bunch of swag from Hop Union and White Labs that I haven't necessarily brought over here yet to give away. So,
all right.
Yeah, we'll give him something like that.
You want some swag?
Yeah.
Send me an email that you won the Spam or Not game, and I'll don't do a weird topic title though.
Okay, it'll be straightforward.
Yeah, and then we'll get you a gift.
Did I win?
Oh, awesome.
Cheers, brother. Thanks for playing.
Cheers. Bye.
Right, man.
I want what you have. My favorite one that comes all the time is what happened last night.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But you hit reply, and that way it won't actually open it. So if it's a virus or anything,
what happens when you hit reply?
Then it comes in the body of the reply, but if in case there's a virus in it, it doesn't launch a virus.
You must have
that's a good way to know.
You have a PC, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why you can't do that on a Mac?
No, you can't.
You can't get.
You don't have to worry about it.
You don't even get spam on a Mac.
You don't have to worry about it.
No, you can't hit reply. Is what
actually, you know what I'm doing right now? There's a buddy of mine that works at Apple, and I heard about this program that you can test Apple products if you use them and you talk about them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing that every once in a while because I'm trying to get free Apple products.
So you have to come in here and talk about your Apple.
So I'll be doing it on the CBS show and also KFOG. So
that's Apple, located at 589 2nd Street,
Cupertino.
Long as Sully gets his free stuff, I guess everybody's happy. All right, let's start talking to Pete, huh? Enough dicking around for today. I thought we'd give you some entertainment.
Yeah, the guy's sitting here like...
He's falling asleep.
Is this a show?
Thing is...
Let me know when we're on.
Yeah. I did give you fair warning, P. I said if you're going to drive, you should probably come later. Not until 6 or so, because we dick around for a good hour. But we're going to talk to Pete Slosberg, formerly of Pete's Wicked Ales, and he is the Pete, the guy that invented the whole thing. And I got a lot of questions for you, but I want to start from the beginning with you, because I really want to know the history, and I think people are interested. I was telling you a little bit before the show, Pete, that there's a whole thread going on in our forum right now. People talking about their jobs, and you got some guys in there who say, man, do I love my job, and you got other guys who hate it, and they talk about the amount of time that they spend there versus their free time. And I think that an entrepreneur like yourself is fascinating because you worked for a number of years, for other companies before you decided to take the plunge. So let's get into that. What did you do before you ever got into the beer thing?
Well, my degree I got my degree from Columbia's Engineering School in New York City in space mechanics and propulsion.
Is that right?
He's a rocket scientist.
So I like to say it doesn't take a rocket scientist to make beer or chocolate, but it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
But after I got my degree, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do when I grew up, so I went back to graduate school and got an MBA.
Okay.
And even then, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do when I grew up. But all during this 6-year period, all at Columbia in New York City, the drinking age was 18 back then, and I did not drink alcohol.
Nothing at all.
I hated it. Matter of fact, for my bar mitzvah, I cried to my parents, don't let me have a Friday night ceremony because I have to drink wine. I don't want to do that.
Really?
Yeah, I disliked it completely.
What was the reason? Was it the taste, or you had some social?
Well, don't forget, the wine they serve at bar mitzvahs, Manischewitz is...
Yeah, right. That's true.
But I even in high school, my friends would try beer, and I would hate it. Tried wine, hated it.
Just never liked it, okay.
Just never liked it. And in college, I never liked it. And then I met my wife.
Okay.
And she drove me to drink, and I thank her every day.
Yeah. That happens to a lot of guys. It's weird.
Boy, this dog is great. Biscuit keeps walking through the legs.
Yeah, I trained her to do that. She gives a little rub every now and then, if you know what I mean. Keep everybody awake.
I like it.
Well, in graduate school, my wife, my girlfriend at the time, got me to try wine with her. But the only way I could drink the wine was to throw it in the freezer. Little did I realize that, something ice cold deadens your taste buds on your tongue.
Sure.
But the only way I could drink it was ice cold.
Okay.
But over the next couple of years, I decided to try beer at refrigerator temperature, regular temperature, and then at room temperature, and I started getting into wine. I got a job in upstate New York, in Rochester, New York, with a big company, and there were a lot of interesting wineries in upstate New York.
Okay.
One called Bully Hill. Walter Taylor, the grandson of the Taylor Company, was making very interesting wines, and got more and more into wine. Then ultimately, a friend of mine had us to dinner, and he poured a wine that was spectacular.
Okay.
Best wine I ever had. So I asked him who made it, and he said, I did.
Ah.
And I said, what are you talking about? He said, come to my cellar, showed me the equipment. And I thought, damn, I thought you had to have a winery to make wine. I didn't know you could make it at home.
Yeah.
So I told my wife, this would be great to try to make wine at home, but our apartment was so tiny, we didn't have the room. So I told her, if we ever got more room, let's try to make wine. Came to the Bay Area in '79.
Okay.
And looked in Yellow Pages and found an interesting place called Wine and the People, which turns out to be a mecca for microbrewing on the West Coast. But Wine and the People on University Avenue in Berkeley had winemaking equipment, went over there, and not only did they have the equipment, but they had literally tons of grapes. You could buy 100-pound lots, so I got 100 pounds of Cabernet Sauvignon grapes from the Stag's Leap region of Napa, hand-squeezed it, fermented it, and then all of a sudden realized after fermentation, shit, what do I do now? I gotta wait 5 years to drink this crap. I don't want to wait.
Yeah, forget that.
So I called them back, and they said you can make white wine in a year or two. I thought, that's quicker, but still too long.
Yeah.
Then he said you can make homebrew. And I thought, homebrew, and he said you can make it in a month or two. I said, I like the time, but I don't like beer. I hate beer.
Ah.
And he said, you ever have homebrew? And I said, no, never. And then he said something quite curious. He said, if you've never had a homebrew, you've never had real beer. So try it.
Yeah.
So with the home winemaking equipment, it was pretty similar to making home brew, from an extract perspective. So I tried my home brew, and that first home brew was just so extraordinary. In hindsight, it was probably crap. But
yeah.
but
then it was so different.
But it was so much better than any commercial beer I had. I wondered, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I made more and more home brews, and I kept wondering, why the hell do I like this home brew and not the commercial stuff? And after, 4 or 5, 6 months, I realized there was a flavor in homebrew that was getting my attention, and I couldn't identify it. And all of a sudden, I realized my favorite candy as a kid was a malt ball. And when I could taste in the beer the inside of a malt ball, I thought, this is fucking... Can I say that?
Yeah, you're fine with that. Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
So, and then I did a little more research and found out the reason I didn't like the big mass-produced beers was they minimized the malt by adding rice and corn, and you couldn't taste the malt.
Yeah.
So I got into home brewing the hard way through wine, and I got into alcohol through my wife, and I love to say she drove me to drink, and I thank her every day.
But she just was a big wine person, and
she wasn't a big drinker, but she liked to drink now and then, and I wanted to drink with her.
Of course. So, how old were you when you then started drinking?
I was 29 when I drank beer and enjoyed it for the first time.
Okay.
So I started late in life, but I'm making up for lost time.
Yeah.
Sean, you want to pour me another beer?
Yeah, you did. You've done great today, by the way.
But then I got so into it that I worked at a Silicon Valley company that had beer bus every Friday, and they were into beer, so I formed a homebrew club at the company. It was a company called Rolm, ROLM, big hit in the early days of Silicon Valley, and we called ourselves the Worry Warts.
Very nice.
Boom.
Yes, I like it.
Try the veal. It's
all night long.
But then decided to make the move in the mid-'80s.
Okay. So, I'm wondering if you went through 29 years not really drinking, and you don't have to answer this question per se, but I'm wondering if you were any fun like before that. Like, did you ever get laid? Did you have a good time? Did you have friends? What did you do before you got into that whole thing?
Well, we can talk about part of it.
Okay, fair enough.
but at least for fun, going to school in New York City, you can't beat going to school in New York City. There's just so much going on.
New York City, great.
And you don't have to drink alcohol.
You don't, because there's enough to do there. It's like, the city that never sleeps and all that. Somebody, and we'll segue just a little bit here, since we're talking about you actually starting drinking. Someone has already asked if you've ever drank so much that you threw up.
Good question.
Yeah.
The answer is, because I am drinking late to life, maybe it's by body chemistry, but I am a cheap drunk.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't take a lot for me to lose it. And there are two instances that come to mind right away. One is going to the Belgian dinner at the Toronado in San Francisco, which is going on today as we speak. Went there a couple of years ago and made it through the whole dinner, the drive home, and when I got to the driveway, not even to the door, but when I got to the driveway, I had asked my wife
for dinner.
Yeah. That was it right there.
And then once in Belgium, I think I had at least 11 beers that were 9% alcohol or more. For some reason, that kept me up all night.
And why was that?
I believe it.
I'm not a pro like Sean. He practices every day.
So folks want to know how long you were a homebrewer for, though, because you started then shortly after you found that you liked homebrew.
Yeah, the whole thing about being an entrepreneur was kind of a struggle too. I started homebrewing in '79.
Okay.
And then one of my best friends kept bugging me in 1985, so 6 years later or so. He said, let's start our own company, and at that point, the Silicon Valley company I worked for was purchased by IBM, so I was part of Big Blue, and I actually liked my job. And the thought of leaving Big Blue was so foreign to me.
Yeah.
Why would I want to start a company? But he kept bugging me, so long story short, I homebrewed for actually 7 years, and then we started Pete's in 1986.
Okay, so you've been brewing for a while at that point.
Yeah, it's funny, I never thought about it when I went to Wine and the People, but it turns out President Carter in 1979 legalized home brewing for the first time. So not that I was the first legal home brewer, but
it was the same year.
It was kind of cool to start home brewing in that year.
I had not put those two together. That's actually really awesome. You started home brewing the same year. I think the only one that has you beat is Charlie, because he was doing it illegally for a few years before that.
Well, Charlie's that kind of guy.
Yeah. You were very straight and narrow.
But Charlie was a nuclear engineer. I was a space mechanics guy.
You guys were crazier. All right, fair enough. People also want to know if you homebrew now. Will you ever do a batch?
Do I homebrew now? Well, for people who don't know, we sold our company in 1998 to a company in Texas called Gambrinus.
We're going to get into that.
I spent 2 years with them, so I was kind of occupied full-time through the year 2000.
So you did stay with the company for a little while, okay.
Yes. Then in 2000, I was a free man and went to Belgium 5 times in 2 years.
Fantastic.
And discovered the world of chocolate, and I kind of devoted from the year 2000 till now all my free time into the world of chocolate. And for those who aren't here, I made homemade chocolates for the gang in the Rat Pad.
Yes, Pete, you said it. I'm picking up the Rat Pad already.
And if you want to come into Concord, it's a long drive from the Bay Area, but you're welcome to come here for homemade chocolate.
I didn't even get any yet. I got to try some. I don't eat on the air. I got to wait till the break. It just sounds disgusting.
So, yeah.
And you started Cocoa Pete's.
Started Cocoa Pete's Chocolate Adventures in 2002, and been working on chocolate since then.
There's this whole thing on the Discovery Channel right now. They're about to air this program about the chocolate wars between Hershey and Mars.
Yeah.
Did you get bumped around by those guys at all? They're serious about their chocolate.
Well, the corollary between beer and chocolate is amazing. When we got into the beer business in 1986, we did a little homework to find out what was going on, and the beer business back in 1986 was about $50 billion a year.
Okay.
Dominated by Bud Miller and Coors, who had 80% of the market.
Yeah.
Then there were imports and really no domestic specialties. Well, when we looked at chocolate in the year 2002, it's a $15 billion a year business, dominated by Hershey, Mars, Nestle, who have 80% of the business.
Okay.
The rest are imports, and now there's an opening for domestic specialty. So it's interesting how
it's very similar.
The dynamics of the market are such that Americans are now willing to try fuller flavored chocolate, which is great.
Yeah. And, it's so amazing that we're trying fuller flavored everything. And it's part of the organic movement, it's part of the slow food movement, it's part of everything. I love that. Like, the rest of the world has had this culture on their palate for years and years. And how long has it taken us to get away from...
Yeah, it's finally... I mean, this past weekend in San Francisco, the San Francisco Brewers Guild had an event with slow food. And, I mean, we were pairing the craft beer from San Francisco with local purveyors, a local charcuterie.
Yes.
Fatted Calf was there, as well as a couple cheesemakers, and Hog Island was there with their oysters and all that. It was just it was an interesting event because I go to beer...
No chocolatiers?
Cool. there wasn't, Pete. We should have called you.
Where's Pete?
He's probably out of town. No, and it was an awesome event because it was the first beer event that I ever went to where people asked a lot of questions about the beer, what went into it, and it was kind of an area of hoity-toity type thing, and it was great.
Yeah, I think
you're right, Pete. I mean, there's people want more flavor, and
part of it is the big guys just dominate and control the market. We all know about Buttermilk and Coors and their adjuncts, but what I didn't realize was in going through Belgium in 2000, 2001. Why are Belgian chocolates in particular, or European chocolates in general, so much better than the crap we have here? And it turns out there are government regulations that are different between the U.S. and Europe. For example, in the U.S., to call a chocolate milk chocolate, you only need 10% real stuff. So guess what? Hershey's used 10%. In Europe, the minimum is 25%.
Okay.
So it's 2.5 times the amount of the real stuff.
Yeah.
And guess what? You get more flavor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the not real stuff? I mean, if they're adding like rice and corn and adjuncts like that for the big breweries, what are they adding in chocolate that's not making it real?
SUGAR.
Ah. And what's that spell?
Cars.
Okay.
Does spell cars.
So the 15 to 20% is cocoa.
The 10% is pure chocolate.
Okay.
And like we use 35% real chocolate in our milk, so almost 3.5 times the amount of Hershey's. In dark chocolate, the minimum is 15% in the U.S., and in Europe it's 35%. So when you put more of the real stuff in, you get more flavor.
So what did you do with your chocolates? What was your percentage?
Our milk was 35 and our dark was 61.
Wow. Now, these ones, the chocolates that you brought here, you made them at home, or you made them with the people who make Cocoa Pete's?
No, I made those at home.
Did you really?
Yeah. Home brewer, home chocolate maker.
It's awesome because it is something you would buy. I mean, I've never made chocolate at home. I actually have never known anybody make chocolate at home.
Yeah, but Pete's got nothing to do. He's just hanging out.
And these are amazing.
He's just hanging out making chocolate.
Well, Sean gave me a growler of double IPA, and when it ran out, I had nothing to do, so...
Like, honey, what do I do?
Thought I'd make some chocolate. Yeah, why not? Folks want to know, now that you are drinking, Pete, what beers do you drink? Any notables that you would mention?
Boy, that list just keeps getting longer and longer and longer.
Is that right?
When I started home brewing, one of the issues was I can't find a beer I like commercially, and I'm making exceptions. You could find an Anchor. Back then, I feel really proud about the fact that I actually had New Albion.
Okay.
I was a purchaser of New Albion.
Ah, great.
And I remember going to Safeway and getting New Albion and trying the beer at home and thinking, this beer is so good.
Yeah.
But there's something wrong with it. There are floaters in it.
Ah, yeah.
I didn't realize they didn't filter it. So I went back to Safeway and I said, I need my money back because there's something wrong with this beer.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to say.
How great is beer education now that we know that stuff? We're like, floaters, sweet.
Right. So in any case, I'm not a big drinker still, but what I like is flavorful, strong beer.
Okay.
And best example would be Sean's Strong Beer Month in February at the 21st Amendment. Mm-hmm. He had a beer that was a copy. He stole the intellectual property
thief
from a Belgian brewer. He called it a double triple, kind of taking the best of a double IPA with a Belgian triple.
Okay.
And it is a fabulous beer. But I love strong beer and sipping beer like wine.
Yeah.
Get a nice Belgian glass, sniff the beer, sip it, and then get drunk a couple hours later.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was the thing today with Pete, too, is that he wouldn't come to the studio unless we brought him to Schooners to try their award-winning barley wine.
Yeah.
So it does go with your big beer sipper theme, although we forced you to down it because we had to leave. So you didn't get to sip.
Kicking and screaming, man.
Yeah, we have to get back to the show, and then Craig opens up a 2002 bottle, and it was just like, all right, we got to go now. We're like, what are you talking about?
I know, how could we leave?
But that was kind of cool that they opened a bottle of 2002 barley wine, which they got the award from the Toronado Barley Wine Festival, and I was a judge in the finals that year.
I was going to ask you about that.
It was kind of great to taste it again, and it has improved.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, good aging on the barley wines if it's a good quality beer. And it was interesting, too. He had another beer that didn't age so well, and he didn't even want us to try that. So it just all depends on the beer. You do a lot of judging, though. If people ask you to come out and do some tasting, you'll do that for
If
them.
I'm available, I do a lot of traveling, but if I'm here, I love getting involved with competitions. And
yeah. Kind of a beer guy. All right, I want to take a quick break, and then I want to talk about Pete's specifically with you. We got a little background here. I want to talk about you.
You read the book.
Job. Pete's been kicking my ass all day because he's got a book. And I didn't even know he had a book till like a week ago. I was doing some searching. I did a little prep for Pete.
Yeah.
And I found that he had a book, and I didn't read the book. Pete's angry with me. I didn't read
Pete, you got to put pictures in it if you want. If he's going to look at it
true.
or even understand it, like colors, bright colors, and pictures, and maybe sounds if you can do it.
Yeah, any comics in your book?
It was in Braille too, so you could
big
feel
font.
But wasn't it like a bestseller at like some elementary school or something?
It was a kindergarten, actually.
It was, yeah. No, it did very well for you. You had it. What's it called?
Beer for Pete's Sake.
It's pretty clever.
Even I knew that.
Yeah. Did you really?
No, but I want to make myself look better than you.
And
right
me
now.
look like a douche.
Come on, guys.
Is it on Amazon? Can people get it?
It's on Amazon. You can even get it on eBay used.
Is that right? I might have to do that.
No, you got to get it new. Pete doesn't get any money for used books. Come on.
I'm upset you didn't bring me a signed copy, Pete.
Next time.
I love the fact you
next time I'm driving to Nevada, I'll stop off and drop it off.
It's right over the hill there.
Exactly.
We'll be in Vegas any minute now.
Pete thought he was on his way to Tijuana. He walked in here and asked where the donkey was.
Yeah.
I said, Pete,
what a letdown.
Come on, it's just a radio show, buddy.
It's a dog.
We're going to take a really quick break. We're here with Pete Slosberg of Pete's Wicked Ales and Cocoa Pete's also. We're going to hear all about how he started those companies and how he got rid of them, too, because I think that's fun. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters.
Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Gather round, ye lads and lasses, set ye for a while, and hearken to me mournful tale about the Emerald Isle. Let's all raise our glasses high to friends and family gone, and lift our voices in another Irish drinking song. Consumption took me mother and me father got the pox. Me brother drank the whiskey till he wound up in a box. Me other brother in the troubles met with his demise. Me sister has forever closed her smiling Irish eyes.
Now everybody's died, so until our tears are dried, we'll drink and drink and drink and drink, and then we'll drink some more. We'll dance and sing and fight until the early morning light, then we'll throw up, pass out, wake up, and then go drinking once again.
Kenny was killed in Kilkenny, and Clare, she died in Clare. Tip and Tipperary died out in the Den year. Shannon jumped into the river, Shannon back in June. Ernie fell into the urn, and Tom was in the tomb. Cleanliness is godliness, me Uncle Pat would sing. He broke his neck a-slipping on a bar of Irish Bing. O'Grady, he was 80, though his bride was just a pup. He died upon the honeymoon when she got his Irish up.
Now everybody's died, so until our tears are dried, we'll drink and drink and drink and drink, and then we'll drink some more. We'll dance and sing and fight until the early morning light, then we'll throw up, pass out, wake up, and then go drinking once again. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, 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 ba-da-ba-da-ba-da.
Joe Murphy fought with Riley near the cliffs of Old Deneen. He took out his shillelagh and he stabbed him in the spleen. My crazy Uncle Mike thought he was a leprechaun, but in fact he's just a leopard, and his arms and legs are gone. When Timmy Johnson broke his neck, it was a crying shame. He wasn't really Irish, but he went to Notre Dame. McNamara crossed the street and by a bus was hit, but he was just a Scotsman, so nobody gave a shit.
Now everybody's died, so until our tears are dried, we'll drink and drink and drink and drink, and then we'll drink some more. We'll dance and sing and fight until the early morning light, then we'll throw up, pass out, wake up, and then go drinking once again. Da, 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 da.
Drunken Uncle Brendan tried to drive home from the bar. The road rose up to meet him when he fell out of his car. Irony was what befell me great-grand-uncle Sam. He choked upon the very last potato in the land. Connor lived in Ulstertown, he used to smuggle arms, until the British killed him and cut off his lucky charms. And dear old Father Flanagan, who left the Lord's employ, drunk on sacramental wine beneath the altar boy.
Now everybody's died, so until our tears are dried, we'll drink and drink and drink and drink, and then we'll drink some more. We'll dance and sing and fight until the early morning light, then we'll throw up, pass out, wake up, and then go drinking once again.
Someday soon I'll leave this world of pain and toil and sin. The Lord will take me by the hand to join all of me kin. Me only wish is when the Saviour comes for me and you,
He killed the cast of Riverdance and Michael Flatley too. Now everybody's died, so until our tears are dried, we'll drink and drink and drink and drink, and then we'll drink some more. We'll dance and sing and fight until the early morning light. Then we'll throw up, pass out, wake up, and then go drinking once again. Then we'll throw up, pass out, wake up, and then go drinking once again. Then we'll throw up, pass out, wake up, and then go drinking once again.
This is www.thebrewingnetwork.com.
Sit down next to it, grab yourself a paper towel, and watch those yeast have sex.
You're listening to the Brewing Network.
The Brewing Network, saving your life.
One beer at a time.
We are back, everybody. We're here with Pete Slosberg, the artist formerly known as Pete's Wicked Ale. I have a feeling that as the night goes on, I'm going to be doing Slosberg quite a bit as I announce the name.
Slosberg?
Yeah, had a lot of beer. We brought home a couple growlers from Schooners and bought a 6-pack of EJ Fair to drink. Who knows what's going to happen today? But in the meantime,
chocolates are making me high right now.
The chocolate does get you high.
I'm high right now.
Strong.
Yeah.
Puppies.
What was that?
Puppies.
Thank you.
888-401-BEER
is the number. Please feel free to call and ask any questions you want, or you can join JP in the chat room right there, and he'll pass your questions along to me like he's been doing all night. And I do have a bunch in front of me, Pete, so we'll have to get through to these. I want to talk about Pete's Wicked specifically, and you mentioned you started it all. In 87, you were getting started
86.
In 86. Okay, that's when you were even kind of talking about it and planning it and everything in 86, and then
we started talking in 85, and that story's kind of interesting in that I liked my job at IBM, and the thought of starting a company was so foreign to me that why would I want to do it?
Yeah.
But my friend kept bugging me, and we both have a sense of humor, and I thought it was great. He worked in Menlo Park. I worked in Santa Clara, two towns in Silicon Valley, and we picked a midpoint to meet to talk, and I just thought it was so great. We met at the Jew and the Gentile Deli, which I thought was great for a Jew and a Gentile to meet at the Jew and the Gentile.
Yeah.
But I told my friend, let's talk about the company, not the product.
Yeah.
And if it makes sense to do a company, then we'll go beyond that. So we met 3 or 4 times, and it was interesting. After talking it through, we came up with 3 key objectives for whatever a company that we were considering starting.
Okay.
And the 3 were, these are all easy to say, but it's hard to execute on. The first was, whatever we did, product or service, and who knew what it was going to be, we said it had to be world-class, gold medal winning, top shelf. It had to be something we were really going to be proud of, not some common commodity. And that's a great goal, but again, how do you do that? Number 2 was we wanted to get in the ground floor of a new industry or a new segment of an industry. We wanted to get in where there was potential for the segment or the industry to go up, and we could ride the wave up.
As opposed to competing with...
As opposed to getting into a segment where there are 200 competitors already and the segment isn't growing, why get into that kind of problem from day one?
Okay.
And third, but certainly not least, was we told ourselves we would treat the product or service with reverence, but everything else with irreverence. If we're going to do it, let's have fun with this sucker.
Beautiful.
Let's not take ourselves seriously whatsoever.
Yeah.
So once we got those 3, I thought to myself, IBM was fun. I had a good job. I was traveling around the world. But if we could make a gold medal winning product or service, get in the ground floor of a new segment that would grow and have some fun with it, screw it. Let's try it.
Okay.
And I like to think that my partner and I were smart guys, but there's no discounting of the fact that there is luck. You got to have luck.
Okay.
And I'd much rather be lucky than smart.
So would I.
And it turns out my partner Mark Bronder, great guy, still a good friend. He's never had alcohol to this day. So it's kind of cool that the 2 founders of Pete's Brewing Company, one doesn't drink at all to this day, and one didn't drink till they were 29.
Now, when you say he's never had alcohol, he's not even sipped it, he's not tried it, he didn't decide he didn't like it, he just never had it.
He decided from a lifestyle perspective perspective, he'd never drank it.
Really?
And he went to Belgium with me on a trip, and two things happened. One, he loved smelling the Belgian beers.
Okay.
And the other was, if you're going to be in Belgium, you want Mark for a designated driver.
Yeah, that's great.
And it made traveling around Belgium so much easier.
I'll invite him next time I go.
But while we came up with the concept of what the objectives would be for the company as a whole, I got some ribbons at a Cal State competition, homebrew competition in Sacramento.
Okay.
So he said, "What the hell is a homebrew competition like?" So I described it to him. And he said, it kind of triggered his thought process, and he said, "Aren't there small breweries like Anchor?" And I said, "Yeah." And then up in Chico, there's Sierra Nevada. Again, this is 1985.
Okay.
And in my travels with IBM, I had been to Seattle and got exposed to Red Hook, and been to Boston and saw Sam Adams, and even in New York. Who recalls Newman's Amber Ale from Albany, New York? That was one of the first micros.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't recall.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Long since gone, I assume?
Long since gone.
Okay.
But I told him, yeah, these small companies are popping up, and he said, "Do people like this stuff?" And my reaction was, if you can find it, because it was very hard for the micros to get distribution.
Yeah.
But if you could find it, people would buy it, and in general, the people who would look for it liked it, and then you get word of mouth going, and you get the buzz first with the home brew community, and then with foodies, and then hopefully the general public.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, we wouldn't be the first microbrewery. In 1985, I don't know the number, but let's say there were about a dozen micros and brew pubs then. We thought if what was happening in the Bay Area, Seattle, and Boston had potential nationally, this could be our ground floor opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
Now the beer business was flat, no growth, but we weren't competing against Bud Miller and Coors. We wanted to develop a full-flavored beer. Well, back then, a full-flavored beer. It's quite different today.
Sure.
So we thought, let's get in, and if we were to hop in, no pun intended.
Very nice.
Yeah, I got that.
But do it with a sense of humor. But do it with a sense of humor. Like there was nothing wrong with Anchor beers or Sierra beers or Red Hook or Sam, but everybody was taking themselves seriously. We thought we could differentiate ourselves by making a good beer, but have fun with it.
Yeah.
And then we thought, okay, if we make a beer, what do we call it? And we liked what Ben and Jerry had done, two real guys behind an ice cream company.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the peninsula, south of San Francisco, and Debbie Fields started Mrs. Fields Cookies from Palo Alto, our area. Real person behind the product. So we thought we'd call it Pete and Mark's Brewing Company or Mark and Pete's Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Then at the last minute when we had to do the trademark stuff, Mark said, "Look, I don't drink. Pete, you're the brewer. Let's just call it Pete's." So I said, twist my arm.
Sure.
And I think he's regretted that to this day.
Why does he regret that?
Well, he's a single guy, and at a lot of beer festivals, and even at the brew pubs today, you saw the women come up.
I saw that.
And I'm married, happily married, and Mark isn't, and he was a little frustrated that...
And he doesn't get that.
He doesn't get that, yeah.
So does he kind of say, like, hey, over here, I also helped with I'm the partner.
I'm co-founder, but didn't work with the ladies.
If your name's not on the bottle, big boy, we don't want to talk to you. Yeah.
But then we thought, besides personalizing it and having a real name and a real person, we had to have a name that would get people's attention, show that we had a sense of humor, little attitude. And we did the old MBA thing, go to a whiteboard, list all these adjectives to describe the beer. I mean, Wicked Ale was a brown ale, so we could have called it Pete's Ale or Pete's Brown Ale, but they're so boring. So we couldn't get an adjective for it, but we heard back in the mid-'80s there was a San Francisco comedian, Alex Bennett, who had a drive time radio show.
Yeah.
And he would have visiting comics who would do routines at night come on his show during the day and do bits. And Bob, the Bobcat Goldthwait, was on one day and yelled and screamed, "Wicked this, wicked that." And we said, home run. That's our name.
It.
And I got to tell you, using the name Wicked back then was so different. And it was such a hook for people to at least look at the bottle.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you're going down on a beer shelf with 200 beers, why would anybody look at your beer in particular? Well, you need a hook.
Yeah.
And Wicked was that hook. And
it's a great hook. So you, now, and I'm going to say this is kind of backwards, but only based on the status quo, because what you've told me right here actually sounds the way it should be done. You had the idea, the structure of the business, exactly what you wanted out of a company before you had a product, and even a name of the product before you had a product, so that you knew you could, you really could sell this stuff before you ever had even the beer. And
we knew that. Okay, what's the beer business? Well, the beer business, on one hand, is brewing a great beer.
Yeah.
But that's not the business.
Okay.
A lot of people think if you brew it, they will come. Well, guess what? They don't.
Okay.
The beer business is a 3-tier system where a brewer has to sell it to a distributor who has to sell it to a retailer and ultimately to the consumer. So without knowing anything about the beer business, we knew that we had to go through a wholesaler. And why would a wholesaler give a startup any mind share?
Yeah.
Why would they put any support behind it? Because whatever they sold of our beer wouldn't pay their rent. It would be Bud Miller or Coors or some import. So part of our strategizing up front, even before we had the first beer, was to say, when we had some money, and we didn't have any money in the beginning, we were joking in the car. I asked Sean how much money it took to start 21st Amendment, and he said $10 million or something.
some ridiculous
number.
Yeah.
And it turned out we started...
Twice bankrupt.
We started Pete's for $15,000. We got
$15,000.
Yeah. Now that didn't take us very far, but it got us 200 cases of bottled beer that we got into a bunch of stores on the peninsula and got feedback from people, from wholesalers, from retailers, and from consumers, and that gave us the confidence to raise more money and go out and do more. But even before we did all that, we kind of structured our thinking around what we want to be when we grow up. And we had these long discussions at the Jew and the Gentile, and it was great.
It is great.
We told ourselves, if we're going to do this, we want to be in the top 3 of this category as quickly as possible, because we believe that as craft beers became more available, there could be hundreds. Little did we realize there are now 1,500 micros and brew pubs in the country. But we knew there would be more and more, and we needed to differentiate ourselves and get to the lead of the pack as quickly as possible.
Sure.
So we decided to invest all of our money in sales and marketing and not in the brewery. We were a contract brewer from day one.
Never had a brewery.
Didn't believe in it. We believed that we could have high quality beer from another manufacturer. Now, sometimes yes, sometimes no, but but ultimately we could control our destiny without owning brick and mortar.
And I just want to focus on that for a second, because especially when you get into craft beer guys and guys who, they want their stuff handmade, they want their good beer. I want to talk about, was the quality of the beer, you did mention it, you said we want to give reverence to our product. How important was the quality? You didn't have a brewery, so you weren't brewing it yourself, but how important was the quality of the beer to you? Because
the quality was supreme importance. But what most people don't understand is by using a contract or a partner brewery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Think about it. If you're going to start a brewery from day one, how much money do you have to develop a QA or QC lab with all the equipment?
None.
And the answer is none.
Yeah.
By having a partner brewery that's existing in business, having a QA lab, we actually had better quality, and personal opinion, but I think it can be proven.
Yeah.
We had better quality beer than most micros.
Sure.
Because we had better quality control at the bigger partner brewery than a lot of the small micros.
And certainly than you could afford on $15,000. I mean, you were going to brew at home.
But even Sean's $10 million or $20 million investment.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's expensive to have a quality lab.
Okay.
And we could take advantage of partner breweries' labs without all that investment.
Yeah. Does anybody do that now? Start a brewery and never own a brewery? Do you see what I mean? Do you know of any other companies who? And I guess if you don't want to call them out, but who?
Sam Adams got started that way. They didn't have a brewery.
Really?
They only recently bought a brewery, and within the last probably 5-10 years, 10 years.
They acquired Hudepohl Schulling in Cincinnati maybe 10 years ago for part of their production, but they still use others for contract manufacturing. But
so the first Boston lager that was on the shelf was also partner brewed.
That was from Pittsburgh Brewing.
Yeah, because when you really look at it, I mean, it's so funny. Our little world, we think, if you don't own your kettles and you're not doing it right. But if you look at it from a standpoint of, there are these breweries out there, these tanks that are sitting there, and they're being underutilized.
Yeah.
Why not go in there? Why not find somebody that you can go in with, give them your recipe, brew with them?
Sure.
And you're essentially renting the equipment.
Well, and did you do that? Did you brew with them?
Yes.
You did?
Yes, I did. I went out there, and then ultimately we hired our own brewmaster, a Weinstefan trained guy. We wanted to control our destiny without owning, but we had our own people, our own operations people living at the brewery.
Wasn't Dan Gordon, was it?
No, it was Pat Couteau, who actually graduated before Dan, but Dan likes to say he was the first.
Yeah. In fact, I think he says he's like the only or something. There was another
Pat
guy?
Couteau graduated before Dan did.
I killed them all.
I'm calling Dan.
Yeah. Call him right now.
I'm called
Hey, Dan, guess what?
Dan, Pete says that you're lying.
Dan's a good guy. He's
Dan's
a good
great guy.
And then
You
hang
guys
up
are
real quick.
kind of
We love
neighbors.
Dan.
But beer is marketing. You got to market the company and yourself.
Okay, so you had a Weinstefan brewer, though.
Yeah,
Brewing
ultimately.
your stuff. That's
Yeah.
great.
I mean, I was just a home brewer. What you got to do as a small company is, with limited funding, is you can't do everything. Our brewing partners in the beginning were smaller companies, tend to be smaller, without all the processes in place. And we actually had some quality problems at one of our early manufacturing partners. But you got to make decisions very quickly, even if it costs money. And it was great. We had some sour beer out of one batch. I didn't know how to solve it as a home brewer. So what did I do? I called UC Davis. I called Michael Lewis up, and I said, you don't know me. I have a little company in the Bay Area. Can we work with you or your grad students to solve our quality problems? And Michael assigned Jean-Xavier Guinard, who now teaches out at UC Davis. He was a grad student, and Jean-Xavier and I went to the brewery, and he solved the problem for the brewer.
Wow.
And the point I'm trying to make is you can't wait to solve problems. You got to get right on it. But number two, as a contract manufacturing partner, we wanted to add value. So the brewer had his own problems, and he couldn't solve it. So by our investing in a grad student going out, we solved their problem for them as well as the problem for us.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I think that's fascinating, and not just in the way that you went about the business and the way that you started it, but the whole structure, that you set up. We were talking a little bit about it earlier. So now you have this. Now you've got a place that's going to brew the beer for you. You've got the name, you've got the brand, you've set everything up, and you had said a little while ago that you decided to spend all the money that you didn't spend on a brewery on direct sales. So what does that mean for you? What was your plan now that you got it?
Because you have the 3-tier system, a brewer has to sell to a distributor who has to sell it to a retailer. A lot of brewers think their beer is the best on earth, which in many cases it is, but in many cases it's not. The fact is, the wholesaler and the wholesaler sales force sells a portfolio of beer.
Sure.
So why would a salesman for a wholesaler sell your beer versus a Bud, Miller, or Coors, which is, the amount of volume they're getting pays the rent for the wholesaler, where a startup, whatever they sell, it's minuscule what they get.
Yeah. Good point.
So if you depend on a wholesaler, you're putting your life out of your control. So we said, when we grow up, we want to be a direct sales force company that'll help us become in the top 3 as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And by having your own salesperson in every geography, ultimately, we sold our company in '98. We had gotten to be a $70 million a year business.
Wow.
130 employees.
In what year, sorry, by that time? How long had you been in business in that time?
We started late 86, and we got to 70 million in 96, 10 years.
Fantastic.
That's amazing.
That is really amazing. Okay.
But by having your own salespeople, and ultimately when we sold the company, we had 130 employees.
Okay.
And 85 of the 130 were direct salespeople.
Okay. And so, just all over the country kind of a thing? Like just really getting them out there everywhere?
We limited our expansion.
Okay.
We got calls all the time. We want Wicked Ale in our state, our city, whatever.
Yeah.
And we actually said no. Our belief is we wouldn't expand until we could afford a person to live in the new geography, because if you ship it without any support in that geography,
the
beer may work, it may not work, but generally it doesn't work. unless you have your own person pushing the wholesaler, pushing the retailer.
Wow.
So in the early days when we ran out of money, we actually shipped the beer to Colorado because we ran out of money. Even though we only started with $15,000 and we ran out of money 5 times.
Weird.
Well, it's interesting because you really are kind of with what's in the distributor's portfolio. You really are just looking at them as trucks that they just happen to be delivering the beer.
Yeah, we believe the distributor was a delivery mechanism. If they did any more than that, that was gravy.
Yeah,
but we didn't depend on it. So when you go in with that attitude that you try to control your own destiny, if they only deliver, then it's mission accomplished.
Yes.
If they do anything more, hallelujah.
Yeah.
So that was our theme.
Okay. And that's really kind of what happens, I think, with a lot of micros out there that are retailing their beers, is that they just think that, okay, we'll make it, and then somebody's going to take care of it, and nobody really thinks, not a lot of people think about, like, well, what's going to happen once it gets to market? And you guys really had the forethought to be proactive and sell the beer in the market on your own.
The key thing, I think, was having a brown ale in the early days was pretty different. Having a name that was completely different. Now, I mean, now you got roadkill beer and all these strange names, but, you know, back in the 80s, Wicked was pretty unique.
Yeah.
And then the whole attitude towards direct sales force and controlling your destiny was very important. But we then took a step further and believed that I was relating to the guys over lunch earlier. My role in the company was to be the outside guy, the spokesperson.
The face.
I like to think of as spokesmodel.
Yeah, I can see how you would appreciate that.
He's hot, by the way, folks.
Thank God this is voice only.
I'm the face man of the beer.
But I didn't know what a spokesperson was supposed to do. So I would just go out and talk to wholesalers and retailers and all that thing. But what I found, it was very interesting. We have the advanced degrees, but you don't learn this stuff in school. I found that when I went into bars and restaurants and asked to say thank you for carrying Wicked Ale, I would go in blind and unannounced and just go with the flow with the server. And the server, you know, Sean, what does the server say to you when you sit down?
What'd you like to drink?
What'd you like to drink? And I thought, damn, I can't wait for them to say they have Pete's Wicked Ale. So I would say, I'd like a beer. What do you got? And the server would say, we got Bud, Bud Light, Miller, Miller Light, Coors Light. And I think to myself, why the fuck am I here if they don't have Wicked Ale? I'm supposed to be saying thanks. So I like having fun with people, so I would say, don't you have anything with color, taste, or aroma?
Nice.
And they'd giggle, and then they say, yeah, we got Pete's Wicked, Sam Adams, Sierra. So then I'd say, if you had them, why don't you bring them up in the initial listing? And to a person all around the country, it didn't matter north, south, east, or west, they all said the same thing. And this is one of those eureka moments for an entrepreneur where you don't think about it and suddenly dawns on you that you got to address a problem. And the servers would say, look, we depend on tips. If we look stupid in front of you, we won't get a tip. If we said we had Pete's Wicked Ale and you said you never heard of it, we had no training to describe it. So we'd look stupid just saying we don't know how to describe Pete's Wicked Ale. So they wouldn't even mention it. So my thought was, God, we go through all these problems of starting a company, creating a product, getting a distributor, getting a retailer, and the ultimate salesperson, the server or bartender, won't mention it. There's something completely wrong. So as part of differentiating, I took it on as a challenge to figure out, is there a way to educate servers, bartenders, even consumers? How do you make a person beer knowledgeable about craft beer?
Yeah.
And when I talked to owners of restaurants and bars, they said, you can do it, we support it, but you have to do it in under 10 minutes because we're paying people. So the challenge was, how do you make something so simple people can understand craft beer and explain it in under 10 minutes?
And what year is this? I want perspective for everybody. So
about 91.
Okay. So if you consider the first real big craft beer boom didn't happen until even 4 years after that fact, education is so key at this point.
Especially with those people that are your foot soldiers, as the servers out there.
Right.
And now you wouldn't think anything of it, but back then it was like,
Yeah.
What is this stuff?
And what an excellent point. You're like, I am wasting my time if these people can't explain what what my product is.
Right.
All right, so what did you do for the 10-minute rule?
Well, it took months, but I woke up in the middle of the night in a sweat and had this brainstorm, went to the computer and roughed out a chart. So I created a beer chart that literally, I've done it in a chart of 6 minutes. I can make people beer experts in under 10 minutes.
I'm looking at the chart, by the way.
And what was great about this chart was, number one, we could use it to educate our sales force. I mean, who better to educate about beer than your foot soldiers out in the market? We educated wholesaler sales forces, and I got to tell you, I did hundreds of these around the country. Matter of fact, 2 months ago, my wife and I went to Singapore to stay with Val Allen, who's opening a brewery in Singapore, and we were just reminiscing about the beer market 10 years ago, and he kept shaking his head. He was general manager of Anderson Valley Brewing, and he'd said, I'd be out in the market a month after you were there, and all the people could talk about was your education chart. But we educated our sales force, the wholesaler, the retailers, the servers, bartenders, and ultimately consumers. And what was great was it was a branded piece of point-of-sale material, and a lot of stores wouldn't put in companies' POS material, but because we represented every beer out there, or most beers out there, they put it up. And it was a great way to differentiate at all levels from an education perspective. And I got to tell you, a lot of our retailers, when you're trying to compete against other breweries, when we offered the education, that was a key differentiator.
Oh, I bet.
And we also customized the chart, where we put kind of major styles of beer on the chart, key beers that are out there in each of the individual styles, but we offered to retailers to customize it. And without looking at the chart, because this is voice only, it's an XY grid because I'm an engineer, I'm a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
And Bud Miller and Coors are in the middle of the chart, and the chart shows colors of beer going from golden to amber to brown to black, and a sweetness direction and a bitterness direction, and overlaying all these styles and beers.
It's great.
So for customers, we would customize the chart to the beers they sold, and the retailers were great. They said, yeah, we want to do this. We want to do a placemat so our customers can understand the beers we sell.
Yeah.
And the first one we did it for was a chain of restaurants in Minnesota. We customized the chart for them, laminated it, sent it out, and we never heard from them for, a month. So I called them up and I said, what's the deal? We spent a lot of time and money to support your project. What's going on? And they said, well, we liked what you did, but we're embarrassed. You know what happened? They had 40 beers, and all the beers were the Bud Miller Coors ilk right in the middle of the chart, and they were embarrassed to show the chart because they weren't offering their customers a wide variety of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were different names on the beer, but they were all light lagers.
So they felt like you've done this great piece of work, and we're not meeting up to the piece of work that you did.
Right. Exactly.
That's great. I'm looking at the chart now, and I'm thinking that even today, it is really a great, piece of work, so that people can help, further the explanation.
Yeah, there are 2 or 3 chapters
are.
in my book on this.
It's amazing. If anyone,
only you read.
Yeah. If I had gone down to JoJo's used bookstore and found it on the discounts table before the show,
books on tape, dude.
But the point is, it's not education per se. We use that as a differentiator. But if you're going to start a business, no matter whether it's beer or anything else, you have to have a unique calling for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be other competitors out there, and you always want to say, here's who we are. Not that we're better.
Yeah.
Here's who we are and why we're different and why you might want to try this.
See, and I just think that, like it was a selling point for you then. At that point it was tough to get your beer into places because it was a different beer. Now it's tough because tap handle real estate is expensive and there's a lot of good beers out there. And I still think it would be a selling point for a company to go in and say, not only should you put my beer on tap, but here's my education plan.
Well, ultimately, you have to have a good sales force. And we were fortunate. We have great people with low turnover, but we wanted to make our own sales force feel that they were beer experts.
Yeah.
So when we hired somebody, I sent them a Michael Jackson book, a couple other beer books, and their first day in the office there was a beer test.
Good man.
And the purpose of the test wasn't for them to pass or fail because it was open book. But I wanted to give every employee, including the salespeople, the background material that they can have on their own shelf.
Yeah.
And know where to look up answers.
Yeah.
And then every year we had company meetings, which was expensive to bring everybody in, but we always had more beer education. And ultimately, the really fun thing we finally did before we sold the company was we got homebrew kits for every employee from receptionist to CEO. And I gave them a homebrew recipe for Wicked Ale.
That's great.
And at that point, we had 7 sales regions plus a corporate office, so we had 8 entities. And we gave a $500 check for the best beer in each of the 8 entities. Then the 8 finalists, the winner of the 8 finalists got to go to, trip for 2 to Munich to Oktoberfest. So we tried to make it interesting and, satisfying for our employees that beer education's okay. You can actually gain from it.
Yeah. All right, I got to go to the phones. We got a caller. But I want to know, and I'll put you on the spot here just a little bit. Listeners, of course, want to see this chart. Shall I direct them to your book, or am I allowed to post this somewhere so that they can look at it?
That's a good question. We sold the intellectual property rights to Gambrinus, the company that bought the company.
You did, okay. Is it in your book, though?
It's in the book.
Okay, so we can just tell people to look for your book, and they could get it there, because otherwise Gambrinus owns it.
If I didn't send it to you,
right? So, if I just happen to stumble across it,
if they happen to Google it for Pete's Wicked Ale.
Beer chart knowledge thing.
I have found this chart customized differently all around the world.
I see.
People have glommed onto it and customized it for their own purposes.
Believe me, I'm taking notes right now.
So if I spray paint my name across it, it becomes a different chart altogether. JP, do I work with Gambrinus at all? Or
do you work? Let me think.
There was that time in the 70s.
Just wonder if I shouldn't offend anybody that I might have to work with.
I don't know. Do you work with Gambrinus?
How about this? Why don't you guys just go look for Pete's book, and you could probably find it there. And if there's some sort of huge uproar, then maybe it will surface somewhere on some obscure Turkish website. You guys know what I'm saying? Okay. We've got that guy who wrote in earlier who just got out of Iraq, and he's traveling around Japan right now. He's on the line with us right now, so let's find out what's happening. Hey, brother, how are you, man?
Hey, Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Are you calling us from Japan or what?
I'm in Japan right now, yep.
Who we talk to? What's the name? Give everybody a name.
My name's Mark.
Mark, all right. And you just got out of Iraq, huh?
Yeah, I got back home. I'll get back in Japan on March 16th and stuff. So.
I'm glad you did that, man. It's good to hear. I know we had spoken to you through emails before, so I'm happy to hear that you're safe and alive and going out to find some good beer, man. So what's the deal?
Yeah,
you're just going to take a road trip?
I started my leave today.
Okay.
It's Monday morning here in Japan, about 10:55, but I'm going to be taking about 30 days of leave, and I'm just going to be driving around Japan looking for some good microbreweries or some good craft beer.
I think that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Are you doing it by yourself?
No, I'm going to take, I got a little bit of baggage with me. I got a wife and a kid and stuff.
Baggage.
So I'm going to check them at the hotel and then go out on my own.
They're going to go to Tokyo Disneyland, and I'm just going to get on the subway and find some beer and stuff. So.
You're going to do Disneyland when they go to Tokyo Disneyland. I hear you.
Yeah,
all those cafes with the mirrored floors.
Yeah.
All the waitresses wear big skirts and no panties.
That's right.
Yeah, they call them health clubs over here.
Health clubs. Nice.
Is that what they're called? What's the deal? You have to be stationed there for a little while or something? Is that why you didn't come home and you're in Japan?
Yeah, I was stationed in Concord, and I actually got my start in homebrewing from B3.
Nice.
I went to one Doe's meeting. I used to hang out with a guy named CJ. I don't know if you brewed beer with him and stuff. He was also stationed up there in Concord.
Okay. Never brewed with him, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and I just, I got here in May of 2005, and they don't have very good beer over here, so I'm just trying to use the TBN to locate some good beer over here in Japan.
All right, well, here's what we did. I read your email at the beginning of the show. I don't know if you were tuned in, but I put it out there so that people are going to create a thread on the Beer Radio part of our forum in case anybody knows a place. But we gave out a website that you should look at. What's the website again?
Well, it's Brian Harrell, who lives in Japan and does a beer newsletter, actually, email newsletter, lists places to go and events in Japan. But also, Pete mentioned that he also writes for the Celebrator beer magazine, so you may want to email them. But I also think that if you just do a search for Brian Harrell, which I think is BryanHarrell. H-E-R-R. What is it? Anyway.
You just do a Google search for beer in Japan. I'm pretty sure you'll be alright.
You got to find Brian Harrell, and I'll tell you what, I got to talk to Tom from Celebrator this week anyway, so if I find that information from him, I'll email it out to you, because I want you to find some good stuff around there, man.
And I'll look for one of Brian Harrell's old emails for his that he sends out, and I'll post it on the site, actually.
Cool.
So
now, you said you're starting in Hiroshima?
Yeah, I'm actually located on Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni, which is about 20 miles southwest of the city of Hiroshima. So,
is that safe? Can you be there nowadays? Like, did that stuff go away or what? I'm worried about your children growing extra nuts.
The yield from that nuclear weapon was pretty low compared to what they have today, so there's no residual radiation left here.
All right, but don't drink the beer there. Like, wait till you get out of there to drink the beer.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. You know?
Are you going to go to the Mr. Miyagi shrine?
Is there a Miyagi shrine?
I don't know. Well, there should be.
Yeah, there should be.
He was in Okinawa, though, so.
Yeah, man, I think it's a great trip you're doing, so I wish you luck out there. I'm glad you made it back. And then when you're done, you got to stick around there, or you headed back to Concord?
No, actually, I'm going to be here until 2010.
No kidding. You got to stay there until 2010?
Yeah.
Hey, Japan, that's not
I probably have to go back to Iraq a couple more times and
that's
stuff, you know.
Oh, man. How is it over there? You guys having a tough time? What do you do when you're there in Iraq? What's your job?
Well, I'm a mechanic by trade, but, you know, basically every Marine's a rifleman, so, you know, you have to go out. I went on about 18 convoys and stuff and saw some nasty shit, but, you know,
so
I got back here and now I just got to find some good beer to get over with it.
Yeah,
what kind of beer do you have over there when you're in Iraq? Is there anything that they
no, actually, because it's a Muslim country and it's a combat area, they don't.
Nothing.
Yeah, we were allowed to have 2 beers on the Marine Corps birthday, which is November 10th, and they had this macro beer and stuff, so I had some Heinekens and 2 Heinekens and stuff, but
they were the best beer you ever had, though, right? Like, at that time, you were like, this is awesome.
I just shotgunned them and stuff. I probably would have made Drunk of the Week and stuff.
Let me ask you this, were they out of a can?
They were all in a can.
Excellent. Sean.
But I homebrew over here. I mean, I'm drinking porter and cider right now.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Stuff that I made when I got back.
So you got a good place where you can brew.
I listened to the show with that you guys had Vince and Stern on it, and I decided to try to make some cider and stuff. So.
Oh, that's good stuff. And your wife, she likes the cider, right?
No, she likes the Japanese. My wife's Japanese, so that's probably one of the reasons why I'm staying over here so long.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not so bad. You didn't say that.
I like how he put it, though. That's probably the reason why I'm staying here so long. Like, I haven't really found that out yet.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. All right. Oh, look at you. What'd you meet her when you first got stationed there?
Right. The first time I was here was in 1993, and I met her.
Okay.
It was kind of an arrangement, and then we just got together and we started, you know, having a good time, and you know, 14 years later.
14? Wait a second. What do you mean she was an arrangement? What does that mean?
Like here's an
address. I had friends that were here already and stuff, so you know, they just introduced me to her and stuff.
It was a blind date and they fell in love.
I see. Well, that sounds a lot better than an arrangement.
Keeping that USO tradition alive, huh?
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm glad to hear you. Well, I'm bummed to hear you got to go back.
Yeah, that sucks.
I'm glad that you're there and brewing some beer and drinking good stuff now.
There you go.
Give us a Rat Pad from Japan right now.
What's that?
Just give us a Rat Pad shout out. Just say Rat Pad to make my day.
Rat Pad?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like the way you did it because you don't even know what it is. I bet he knows no pants.
I have no idea.
See,
how do you say Rat Pad in Japanese? That's the question.
You don't. That's out.
Yeah, okay.
You just don't say it.
All right. Well,
you're talking about your house and stuff.
Yeah,
there you go. You got
it. Man who knows his shit.
That's what Sully says.
Yeah. Well, you guys kept me alive in Iraq. I had to download I couldn't listen to the live shows, but I probably listened to about 80% of the archives and stuff. So.
What do you got, an iPod out there?
No, I actually just downloaded them directly to my computer and, just went in early, like about 3 o'clock in the morning, and just listened to them and stuff. So.
See, I like that. Yeah. That's cool, man. I'm glad that we helped out.
Well, now that you've listened to all the lunch meat, you should go back and listen to all the Sunday shows.
No, I only listen to the Sunday show.
Oh, yeah, listen to the crap meat we do.
Go on your trip.
Let me ask you, so when you guys are out on the convoy, you're a mechanic, so when stuff, like they take you in case stuff breaks down when you're on your way, right? You got to get out right there and fix it?
Yeah, I'll ride shotgun in a recovery vehicle, so if anything breaks down, if anything gets hit by an IED or something like that, we just pull right up, we hook up to it, and we drag it away and stuff, so.
Oh, man. That's intense.
Let's toast him. We're in the toasting mood here.
Yeah, we're going to give you a big cheers, man. I thank you for doing what you do.
Cheers, here.
Cheers to you. And
drink good beer and stay alive.
Sure, I'll do my best.
So what do you got? You got a homebrew porter you're drinking right now? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I did, from B3.
Very nice. How did you get that? You ordered it and they delivered it out there?
Those dicks.
Yeah, because I got an FPOAP address, so, my
free shipping.
zip code is 96310, so I'd basically pay, a small shipping and handling fee, and they bring it right to my place.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's great, man.
Yeah, because if I buy it from the local, like a bag of grain, like a sack of grain will cost like $100 over here, but I just buy everything from B3 because it's takes about 10 days to get here, but I can't the expense from buying locally is just prohibited. And stuff,
so. You can start a new business over there, actually.
Yes, seriously. You got to order in bulk from B3.
There's craft brewers over there in that country who are probably paying a lot of money, and you could do a little military side project here. You know what I'm saying, my friend?
A military side project. So do you brew with CJ and Jay out there? He's on the forum?
No, he's that guy's in Concord. That's what he's saying.
No, but there's a guy on the forum, a big homebrewer.
Yeah, and he said he used to brew with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did that.
JP, would you pay attention to the show?
I was smelling my finger. I don't know.
All right, man. Hey, have a good trip out there, and go check the forum because we're going to do a post for you, and I'll shoot you an email back. I got your email, so if I talk to the guy from Celebrator and get the dude's information who posts all about Japanese beer, I'll send it to you.
All right, Justin, thanks a lot.
No problem. It's good to hear from you. I'm glad you're safe.
Okay, thank you.
All right, man. Cheers.
Out.
All right, yeah, cheers. Bye.
Japan, out.
Good dude.
One of my favorite stories. Do I have time for a story?
You do. Go for it.
We're still working for IBM and had an 8-day visit to IBM Japan, including a weekend. So I asked the guys in the office, I'd like to go to a brewery for a tour. Where do I go? And they said, there's a Kirin brewery in Yokohama, a suburb of Tokyo. So I said, great, when can I go? And they said, well, there's a 3 o'clock tour on Saturday afternoon. But you have to change trains from Tokyo 3 times. So I was with a friend, and we were told, there's no signage in English, so you might want to allow some extra time. So we allowed 2 extra hours to get there. And the funny thing was, we got there without any problems, but 2 hours early.
Yeah.
Got there at 1. So we go to the guard shack at Kirin, and we say in English, we're here for the 3 o'clock tour, and it's 1 o'clock. And we get these bewildered eyes looking at us, and they get on the phone, and all of a sudden they put a phone up for us to talk to, and it's a woman with some English. And we said, we apologize. We're here 2 hours early. We just want to know where to wait for the 3 o'clock tour. And she said, no, I don't want to keep you waiting. And we looked up a couple hundred yards away. The door of a building opens up, and this woman in heels comes running out, down to the guard shack. Out of breath, she says, I apologize for keeping you waiting. And we said, no apologies necessary. We just want to know where to wait for the tour in 2 hours. And she said, come with me. And she takes us into the building, and she said, look at this video. It was a videotape of the brewing process. Wait here.
I hope this has a happy ending at the end, if you know what I mean.
Well, this is amazing, because the analog will be quite surprising. So we're watching the videotape, and she literally runs off in heels. A couple minutes later, she comes running back with a guy in a hard hat. And she introduces him. He's a engineering supervisor from the assembly line in the brewery. And he apologizes for keeping us waiting. And we said, no apologies necessary. We just want to know what to do before the 3 o'clock tour.
Yeah.
And he said, come with me. And he gives us a personal tour of the brewery.
No kidding.
And in Japanese.
No, he spoke English.
Okay.
And we go on the tour, and at the end of the day, I look at my friend, and we said, can you imagine if two non-English speaking Japanese guys come to a big brewery in St. Louis and say they're 2 hours early?
Yeah.
What would happen to them?
Exactly.
So that was amazing that they were so courteous to give us a private tour by being early.
It really is, and to apologize. I mean, we would have had to apologize for showing up early out here, right? Like, you go piss off, go do something else for a couple of hours. That's very gracious.
You know, I had a similar story. I was in Japan a couple of years ago, and I went to the Sapporo brewery headquarters in Tokyo, and they have like a whole museum there and a brewery tour. Although there's no brewery there, they kind of walk you through the process. They have sort of a faux brewery there, and so I went to downstairs to the receptionist, and same thing happened. I told these women that I was an American brewer, and is there any way that I could maybe possibly see this thing? You know, I'm Sean O'Sullivan. Don't you know who I, that type of thing. Without being that way.
Who I am? I'm Sean O'Sullivan.
My wheelchair is leaking.
Oh, so am I.
And they were so funny. They were so accommodating. They couldn't get me in because there was nobody to give me a tour, but they gave me, the only thing they could offer me was an annual report from Sapporo. It was like 2 years old. They happened to have there. They just had to give me something. I think it was to get rid of me.
Yeah.
But so I know exactly what you mean.
Very gracious.
I didn't get a tour though, but they
give you an annual
report, with facts and figures.
It was a good effort, though.
Hello, Sean.
All right, we got to take a break. I got a caller on. He wants to know about the pizza for this week, Sully. We've been getting pizza sent to us every week since Daniela left.
What's going on with that?
Well, I think we have our own food this week, though, don't we? JP brought some tri-tip.
Yeah.
We don't have food because I brought it, that's for sure.
I smoked a tri-tip for you.
And I think that Chad was marinating some shish kebabs.
Yeah.
Pete, you like the barbecue. We got some barbecue.
Yeah, Pete is... it's his hidden life.
Really?
Hey, Matt, you're on the line, man. What's happening?
Hey.
I think you wanted to say...
I already ordered the pizza, man.
Did you really?
That's
JP
fine.
said you would eat it, so...
We'll totally eat it, dude. Don't worry about
kidding
that.
me?
We're gonna eat it. We're gonna so eat that pizza. Did you really already ordered it, huh? You're quick.
Yeah, I got a round table. They gave me some trouble, so you're getting original blondies.
Yeah, a little blondies pizza.
Wait, why did Round Table give you trouble?
Oh, no shit, you went straight to Blondie's? Oh, don't worry, it's gonna get eaten, dude.
Yeah.
I just use Google, you can put in your address and...
Blondie's kicks ass. You gotta, you have to wring it out like a towel to get the grease out of it. That's how good it is.
Is it vegetarian? We have a request.
Yeah, Stephanie wants to know if it's vegetarian.
Meatless Mary.
Oh, you know what? I'll call back and get it changed.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. She'll pick the meat
You know what I
up.
ordered, Justin?
What'd you order?
3 extra large pepperoni and olives.
You the man.
You know what's funny is
you can change one of those.
Stephanie doesn't eat meat or olives.
Yeah. Maybe we should change one.
Sounds like Stephanie doesn't eat, then.
Yeah.
Tonight, at least.
Oh, she eats.
Stephanie
What do you eat? You eat cheese?
She eats chocolate. There's plenty of chocolate.
I eat cheese.
So can you maybe call back and put some fucking broccoli on one of those or something?
Or tofu.
Do you want it just cheese, or do you want some
What do you want,
real
Stan?
vegetables like peppers and onions and...
Anchovies.
I like the fact that we're I feel like we're calling the pizza place right now. We're like...
Yeah. Steph, what do you want?
I'll eat any veggie pizza.
Just
with
put some...
no meat.
Tell her to put some green shit on there. She'll be fine.
Okay.
Hey, thanks, man.
JP,
That's awesome.
JP wouldn't give me a local number, so I had to tell him my home phone was a cell number.
That's fine.
I seem to buy it, though.
I don't have a local number.
It'll work. Yeah, we don't have
I said use the 888 number. That'd be fine, right?
Hey, give him the 800
That would be
number.
a great call.
Yeah. I just want to confirm that you're really ordering 3 large,
And we're
extra
like,
large pizzas.
yes, we are.
Do you take
biatch.
food stamps?
Hey, thanks. That's all. We'll eat it.
There's one thing. You guys have to sign for the tip. So, brewer's code on not matching.
Yeah.
All right, we won't mess up your credit. Of course, we'll tip the guy. Does that mean we got to tip the guy, or we just got to sign something?
No, you should tip him, but don't tip him $100.
How about we tip him in cash, and you just have paid for the price of the pizza? That'll be fine.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, brother. Hey, we appreciate that,
Thank
man.
you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
You're awesome. All right, Matt. Cheers, man.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Right on. Yeah, we've been doing this thing where people are worried that I'm going to die because Daniela didn't leave me enough sandwiches.
Yeah.
And so people have been buying us pizza every week, Pete. It's amazing.
The greatest thing ever
send us
invented.
pizza.
Well, I thought 21st Amendment would ship it over for these things.
I assume
you would think so, Pete. We don't even have.
If they were a good community provider.
I asked Sean once, and I said, Sean, you want to cater these things? And he's like, dude, I spent $10 million on my brewery. I cannot be catering your little show over there.
Your little show in Pacheco.
So
near Nevada.
So our listeners have been catering it for a couple weeks.
Pete, we don't even get cans of beer from Sean.
He doesn't even bring us that.
We have a party. Yeah, hey, Sean, come out. Yeah. He brings Coors Light.
Well, it looks like he brought spent greens. Wasn't that good enough for you guys?
Yeah. All right. Hey, Pete Slosberg in the studio with us, everybody. We're going to start talking about the beer when we get back. I got a lot of beer questions for you.
Yeah, you do.
They're in front of me from the listeners, so hang in there. When we come back, all about Pete's Wicked beer. Hang in there, everybody.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. All we need is a 10 and a 5 or a car and a key and a sober driver. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. A couple of frat guys from Abilene drove out all night to see Robert Earl Keen at the K-Pig Swine and soiree dance. They wore baseball caps and khaki pants. They wanted cigarettes, so to save a little money, they bummed one off this hippie that smelled kind of funny. And the next thing they knew, they was both really hungry and pretty thirsty too. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. All we need is a 10 and a 5 or a car and a key and an able driver. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. Found a store with a sign, said their beer was coldest. They sent in Brad, cause he looked the oldest. He got a case of beer and a candy bar. Walked over to where all the registers are, laid his fake ID on the countertop. The clerk looked and turned and looked back up and stopped and said, boy, I'm not gonna call the cops, but I am gonna keep this card. The guys both took it pretty hard. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. Oh, how happy we would be had we only brought a better fake ID on B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. They met another old hippie named Sleepy John. He claimed to be the one from the Robert Earl song, so they gave him the cash. He bought him some brews. It was a beautiful day in Santa Cruz. They was feeling so good, it should have been crying. The crowd was cool and the band was prime. They made it back up front to their seats just in time to sing with all their friends. The road goes on forever and the party never ends. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. All we need is a 10 and a 5 or a car and a key and a sober driver. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run. B-double-E-double-R-U-N, beer run.
Wait till you can pour it out of your own kegerator.
Yeah. I mean, your friends will look at you with awe.
And it's just hot.
It is?
It's so super hot.
The home of live beer radio. TheBrewingNetwork.com.
Because like beer,
radio shouldn't suck. You're listening to The Session.
Well, a Scotsman clad in kilt left the bar one evening fair, and one could tell by how he walked that he'd drunk more than his share. He fumbled round until he could no longer keep his feet, then he stumbled off into the grass to sleep beside the street. Ring ding diddle little idea.
ring-a-diddly-I-O. He stumbled off into the grass to sleep beside this tree. About that time, two young and lovely girls just happened by. One says to the other with a twinkle in her eye, "See yon sleeping Scotsman, so strong and handsome built. I wonder if it's true what they don't wear beneath the kilt. Ring-ding-diddle-diddle-I-O, ring-da-diddly-I-O. I wonder if it's true what they don't wear beneath the kilt." They crept up on that sleeping Scotsman quiet as could be, lifted up his kilt about an inch so they could see. And there, behold, for them to view beneath his Scottish skirt was nothing more than God had graced him with upon his birth. Ring-ding-diddle-diddle-I-O, ring-da-diddly-I-O, was nothing more than God had graced him with upon his birth. They marveled for a moment, then one said, "We must be gone. Let's leave a present for our friend before we move along." As a gift they left a blue silk ribbon tied into a bow. Around the bonny star the Scots kilt did lift and show. Ring-ding-diddle-diddle-I-O, ring-da-diddly-I-O. Around the bonny star the Scots kilt did lift and show. Now the Scotsman woke to nature's call and stumbled towards the trees. Behind the bush he lifts his kilt and gawks at what he sees. And in a startled voice he says to what's before his eyes, "Oh, lad, I don't know where you've been, but I see you won first prize." Ring-ding-diddle-diddle-I-O, ring-da-diddly-I-O. Oh, lad, I don't know where you've been, but I see you won first prize.
Out of Brewcast. This is the Brewing Network.
Yes, sir. We're going to eat like kings tonight, JP.
Yeah, we are. I'm really excited.
Got a lot of food coming over thanks to Matt and our Feed the Bachelor telethon that's been going on for a few weeks.
Isn't that a good idea?
I actually just got a message from him, and there's going to be 2 orders now because the vegetarian's coming later.
Oh, so there's 4 full pizzas.
No,
that means.
2 meat things, and then 1 veggie.
And then the veggie. Mm-hmm. We should invite some people over or something.
Yeah. We should invite the drivers in.
Yeah, it's coming
on the air.
We're here with Pete Slosberg today, and he's, the guy behind
dude.
Pete's Wicked Ale. So, you guys, if you got any questions, 888-401-BEER is the number. You can Skype us at Brewing Network, and you can also now join Stephanie, who's running the chat for you. She's under JP's name, but that's actually Steph hanging out in there, and she's going to take your questions and pass them along to us. Please be nice to the chat people. They do have powers to get rid of you.
They're really welcoming.
Good.
They're really excited for a female.
I'm sure they are.
I bet they are.
Did you tell them that you've been taking breast enhancement medication? Anything you can do to get close to Danielle?
I just told them I had big boobs to fill.
Fair enough.
So.
Fair enough. Brian, you're on the line with us. What's happening, brother?
You know, I figured I'd give Pete his first Drunk of the Week call.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Yeah, Pete, we do a little thing on the show here where we let our listeners call in and compete for Drunk of the Week. And Brian actually has been trying. He's been I think you got beat out by somebody last week, didn't you, Brian?
Week before.
Maybe. I don't remember. You know, this week.
Is this H2?
No.
It's not.
Scott's here with me.
Different Brian.
But no, I am not H2.
Okay.
Different Brian. And, okay. All right. So to compete, you have to tell us what you've been drinking and how much of it.
I'm on about my 8th or 9th Wild Turkey 101 and Pepsi.
Oh, you're not even drinking beer. Wow. Usually people are like, oh, Imperials.
Wild Turkey 101 and Pepsi.
Wow.
Are you alive?
Yeah. And did you say you're 8th?
8th or 9th. You know what?
Good Lord.
You know what? Go check. I'm like depressed this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Why? What happened?
What's going on?
If you check the forum, look under the pet food recall under off topic. You'll see what's happening.
Did your pets get caught in that?
Oh no! Did your dog get caught up in the pet food recall?
My Saint Bernard has early stage kidney failure.
Oh, dude! Now I'm depressed. I was reading about that and just pray. Then I come home and I look at my dog. I kicked her a couple times, and I was like, "Man, I'm glad you're alive."
That's the second time that IMS has done something funky.
Well,
They've been sued.
This time it's not IMS, it's Alpo.
Yeah,
I thought it was IMS.
I never liked
parent
Alpo.
company.
It's a Canadian company that makes a lot of different brands.
Yeah, well.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, brother. Hey, all right,
cool.
hands down, you get drunk of the week, dude. That's
Thanks,
done.
sir.
Done deal.
Well, I mean, is your dog? Can you pull out of it, or
we caught it early? There's special dog food. Although the bitch of it is that the dog food that made him sick is the same company that makes the prescription dog food that will make him better.
Yeah, but that's normal. Like, it's almost always the same drug company that'll fix you from the drug that screwed you up, too. So
exactly.
That makes sense. That's fine. Well, hey, I wish the dog the best, man.
He'll be all right. We'll take care of him.
All right. You're drunk of the week. I give it to you, hands down.
Switch to beer.
Sweet.
Right on, Brian.
Easy, guys.
Cheers, man.
I should cheer him up.
What a shame.
Wow.
This is weird.
It's like a weird, depressing show. Some guy died, dog's on the kidney machine.
It's weird because it's actually...
Guys in Iraq.
We're all feeling really good.
Pete's
We're having
here.
a great time, but we keep getting these depressing...
Can somebody please call in and make me happy?
St. Bernard. Oh, man.
Hello, Sean. I love you.
What? Who is that?
All right, Pete, I got a lot of questions about the beer in front of me. Now, I suppose before we get to it, real quick, we should talk about the fact that, we've talked about you starting Pete's Wicked and doing the whole thing. I did want to ask real quick, at your peak, because you guys were selling a lot of beer. I mean, it was everywhere. Everybody knows Pete's Wicked. How much beer were you guys producing and selling?
At our peak, it was a beer a second, so drink up, guys. We're falling behind.
Kid. That's how you tabulated it. It was a beer a second that you guys
it was a bottle a second.
Holy cow, that's a lot of beer.
Or bottle equivalent.
I mean, you guys were getting it out there.
I mean, imagine even just having them numbers to do that math, you know?
Yeah.
Because some people go, it's a half a beer a second, or, that's a wow.
A beer a second. Okay, so
Cheers
a lot of
So how
beer.
many barrels was that a year? Because I'm not very good at math.
Me neither.
And he doesn't sell bottles.
It was over 500,000 barrels.
Wow.
No kidding. That's a lot of beer. All right. And so how many years were you involved with the company before it sold? From start to
Started in
sale?
86.
Yeah.
We went public in 1995.
Oh, you did go public. Okay.
We went public. And then we got an offer in 1998 from the Gambrinus company in San Antonio, and we sold it in 98.
You sold it in 98. Okay. And so you've not been in the beer business since 98 then?
I still drink.
You support the beer business. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I did have the question come through that someone wanted to know why you sold. Why did you get out?
Well, one of the I talked earlier about my partner Mark and I made a lot of decisions up front about what we wanted to do with the company.
Yeah.
And one of the key decisions we made was not to pass this on to our kids. We wanted to grow the company as quickly as possible, build a brand, have fun with it, and if somebody gave us an offer, a decent offer, we'd take it. I'm the type of guy who can't do the same thing day after day after day forever. I've had lots of different jobs, and I thought if we got a decent offer and it made sense, then we would take it. So it was 13 years, and
you were done. Is that the not pass it to your kids part, that you didn't want to stick around with it for that long, or was there something you didn't want your kids to inherit a beer company kind of a thing?
Well,
you just didn't want to stick around.
Two things. One is we had investors. It wasn't all our money, so we knew they would want liquidity at some point.
Okay.
And secondly, I kind of feel about entrepreneurship is that everybody inherently can or should try something on their own.
Can.
And
yeah, not everybody should.
But my feeling was my kids should be able to do whatever they're going to do on their own.
Okay, fair enough. So, wow, so 13 years, Gambrinus came in, I assume made you a fantastic offer. You were a healthy company, had been doing great, and that was just the time to do it.
Everything came into alignment, and we decided to take the offer.
Okay. Now, from the point that you then sold and to Cocoa Pete's, how long of a period was that? Did you vacation for a few years?
No, because I had to spend part of the deal was I had to spend 2 years with Gambrinus, supporting the brand. So I wasn't a free bird until 2000.
All right.
And as I mentioned, in 2000, I had 5 or 6 trips to Belgium over the couple years and going to see people like Pierre Celis and other Belgian brewers and just having a great time. Belgium is such a great place to go to. It's a small country. The weather sucks, so what better to do than to eat and drink and there. But it's such a welcoming country. The brewers are great. The pub owners are great. The food is great. And I discovered just incredible chocolate. And every time I came back, I brought 5, 10, 20 pounds of chocolate to my family and friends. And it just made me think, why is their chocolate so much better? And I did my homework. And for those budding entrepreneurs out there, there's one thing I do want to say. You can do it on your own, which is hard, or you can look for support. And if you can find a local business school, it's great. We actually got 3 Stanford business students to help us develop the chocolate business plan.
Really?
I had a gut feel about what the opportunity was, but we got 3 second-year Stanford MBAs who actually got credit.
Okay.
Credit towards their degree.
As opposed to a paycheck.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You're a smart man.
That's the best kind of help, man.
But we give them stock in the company too.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
We want to make sure everybody got something.
Yeah.
But they did some homework, showed that what I was thinking about the analog between the overall chocolate business and the beer business 20 years ago, that chocolate is kind of the same spot.
Yeah.
That the door was open for specialty chocolatiers to get in, so we started Cocoa Pete's.
And you've since gotten out of that as well.
Yeah, although not quite the same success. It's making chocolate is very difficult.
Okay.
And the same model of outsourcing production with partners to manufacture, but our chocolate partners were sucky at best, and they had inconsistent and horrible quality. Which, when you're selling premium chocolate, it's not a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Inconsistent quality. So we did find a buyer in December, and we sold Cocoa Pete's. And now I have time to catch up with people like you. Justin, you wanted me to be on the show for a long time, but it's kind of hard when you're starting a business to do that. And,
I've been tracking you down for a while.
Right. And now I have an opportunity to go to the 21st Amendment, and I keep looking for decent beers, but I've yet... No, just...
I'm sorry, Pete. I thought I told you that's what you're not supposed to say.
They have a guest tap, don't they?
They do have great cans. If anybody... I gotta tell you, beer in cans is such a better container than glass. No light gets in.
Wait. Sully's writing the check as Pete speaks.
Look for watermelon wheat at your nearest store, soon to be.
And IPA.
And IPA.
That's right.
Yeah. But we haven't talked about watermelon wheat to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's all located at 562 2nd Street.
Yeah.
That's 563.
Yeah. 562.
And as the giant season kicks off.
No, Pete's been a great guy. He's just to kind of give you a little bit of a view behind the curtain, is that he'll sit down and talk to you, and he's been a great friend of the 21st Amendment and talking to Nico and I about his experiences, but just not with us. He does it with anybody. And he sent me an email recently that it's almost like it's a voyeuristic thing. He doesn't have to get involved. He doesn't have to, put his blood and sweat on the line. He can kind of kick back and watch.
Yeah.
And he's been a great asset to certainly what Nico and I are doing at the 21st Amendment. And
563 2nd Street.
Just to have that kind of information and knowledge base. I mean, I have to tell you, and Justin, you kind of made this comment during the break that you've got a lot going on over there when you're running the show.
Yeah.
But Pete is like a guy that you just want to sit here and listen to.
Yeah, you're one of the only guests I've ever listened to, Pete. Like, I've actually been paying attention to you and not running the show.
And it's just...
He's not lying.
And I have been, the whole time, again, I mean, we've been spending some time together. I just keep, writing ideas down, so...
well, you have a new acronym. WW.
Yeah, this is actually funny.
WWPD.
So we're getting involved. Nico and I are doing this canning project that we keep talking about, and it's just like starting a new business and looking for ways we're going to do it and how we're going to go about it.
Yeah.
And we're kind of using Pete as the model in a lot of ways, in many ways actually. And so we were having some problems with this one aspect of the process, and I sent Nico an email late at night, and I just basically said in the subject line, which wasn't spam.
Yes, thank you.
What would Pete do? And so that's our new thing. What would Pete do?
Anytime it comes up, some crazy decision.
WWP. What would Pete do?
Yeah, what would Pete do? Well, I'm gonna get that tattooed to my.
And I got to tell you something. You can make a lot of decisions based on what would Pete do.
Yeah.
So, and it makes it very easy. I just said to Nico, we should not be doing this. Fuck this. Let's just get rid of this. Pete would just say, what are you doing right now? You're wasting your time.
Yeah. So. And by the way, this is why I dragged Pete through the whole story about starting and deciding to do it, because I think that you made some really great decisions, and you even made the comment earlier when we were talking today that I think is right on. You said we really planned out what we were going to do, and a lot of companies don't do that, and that sounds like a weird statement.
No, it's
not.
But
it's as true as it could be.
I have people that come up to me all the time who say, "I'm a home brewer," and which is great, and but I want to open up a brewery or brew pub, and I got this great beer, and my friends tell me this beer is great, and it's almost like I've been to Vietnam like a million times, or Iraq, a million times, and I look them in the eye and say, "Get the heck out of here and run away from me right now," because it is not about the beer, especially at a brewery. It's not about the beer. You're running a restaurant. You're not. You just happen to have a gimmick associated with it, which is making beer, and it should be quality and all that. And the same thing with running a brewing manufacturing company, or where you're selling beer in the marketplace. It's not about that. Yeah. It is about that, but it is about like making the right decisions and going through and caring, and sticking true to your principles and all that.
I think you need to be passionate about the beer, but selling it is something else. So, yeah. All right, let's talk about the beer, because that's what a lot of questions have come in front of me, that people want to talk about the beer. And I'll tell you, point blank, they want recipes from you, Pete.
Well, I gave my recipe to Sean a couple of years ago, and he brewed the 21st Amendment, and it was close. It was close, but it wasn't spot on. The problem with formulas is, I can give you the grain bill. The grain bill for Wicked Ale was, let me think. I've had too much beer right now. It was 70% pale, 29% caramel, and 1% chocolate. Okay? It was,
1% chocolate?
1% chocolate. It was, 29 IBUs, and we, basically used Brewer's Gold,
what is the equivalent of that today, Sully,
I think you can still get Brewer's Gold, actually.
It's hard to find, but.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so there's the basic. Now the issue is, so what? What temperatures? What times? What yeast? And because we were using brewing partners, we had to use the house yeast at all these brewing partners, which obviously changed every time you change breweries.
Oh, I see.
But we spent a lot of time with our brewmaster trying to replicate the profile, the final product, even with a different yeast.
Okay.
So
that's tough with the different yeast.
It's very tough. Not only that, but different brewing equipment. Recipes don't scale.
Sure.
So you have to modify your temperatures and your times.
So honestly, how close were you able to get? Were they really that close?
Well, I'll give Dan Del Grande credit. Dan got involved with a project a couple of months ago. We had a former employee that has bone cancer, so we did a fundraising beer. An Imperial Pete's Wicked Ale. We called it Reunion Beer. One of our former sales guys and this woman who had bone cancer and I got together, and we did a 7.5% version of a 5% Wicked Ale.
Great.
And I got to give Dan credit. He got closer to Wicked Ale than Sean did.
Nice.
Just because it was at 7%.
What's it called, and where can people get it?
Well, it's Northern California. It's called Reunion, limited production. But next year it'll be back.
Okay.
I'm just joking with Sean. Sean did an admirable.
Well, it's a funny story actually. You do what you can do, but Pete was in the throes of his chocolate business, and I told him I wanted to do this, and I would get these emails like in the middle of the night all across the country, like, where he would like, you know, he would have like a thought, or he would remember like what was in it, and I would get the, you know, like at 12:30 in the middle of the night, like Brewer's Gold was the hop, and then I got these little pieces of the puzzle all the time.
Yeah,
it was actually kind of a cool way to like put the recipe together.
Yeah.
So,
all right, so that's the Wicked recipe.
Yeah, and just for the stuff that is fairly fixed is it was a 13 Plato beer.
Okay. Now, I had questions about some of your other beers, too. People want to know about the Pete's Oktoberfest.
Yep.
You remember that recipe?
No.
I'm actually, I'm pretty impressed that you were able to just spit out the Wicked recipe.
Well, Wicked
like
was my creation. As we got bigger, we hired a professional brewmaster.
You did.
And I was part of the tasting panel, but not the recipe development.
So is Wicked the only one? Your flagship was the only one that came out of your brew house, your home brewery?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Because people wanted to know about the Strawberry Blonde. Now you can say this because we talked about it earlier. Tell us about how you added the fruit to the Strawberry Blonde, because there's different ways.
Yeah, we wanted an all-natural extract to add to the beer, and our brewmaster worked with a flavor company in Minnesota and tried to recreate the aroma of fresh strawberries. Not so much the taste, but the aroma. So when you pop the bottle, the aroma of fresh strawberries came through.
Yeah.
And they created an extract, a natural extract that was perfect.
Right.
Absolutely perfect. Matter of fact, it was so good that in our chocolate company, we had a chocolate we called Berry Dangerous, which was real strawberries and dark chocolate, but we added the strawberry flavoring to the chocolate. So when you open the chocolate package, the aroma of fresh strawberries came out.
See, that's a great idea. Is the Strawberry Blonde a wheat-based beer?
No.
It's not?
Nope.
It was all just kind of a two-row or pale ale?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Someone wanted to know if the dog on your first bottles of Pete's was your dog.
Yes. When part of the strategy was we knew we had to have a name that would be a hook that would get people to look at the product on the shelf. We also knew we had to have a label that was visual, that people would be able to see, given potentially hundreds of different labels on the shelf. So I had my favorite dog in the world. I first saw it on the movie Patton. Remember that movie with George C. Scott?
Oh, yeah.
The dog Willie. It was an English Bull Terrier. As soon as I saw that, I told my wife, I'm going to get one of those dogs.
Okay.
So I got an English Bull Terrier. And my partner Mark thought the Bull Terrier was the ugliest dog on earth. I thought it was the most beautiful dog on earth. But we thought,
either way,
if we're going to do something different with what we're doing, what if we put a white English Bull Terrier on a purple label on a brown bottle? Would that jump out on the shelf? And the answer is absolutely. So the sequence is you want to be seen on the shelf, so the white on purple on brown got your eye.
Okay.
The name Wicked forced you to pick the bottle up and read the label.
Yeah.
And then hopefully people would actually purchase it.
Yeah.
So we had the dog for several years, and I live out in a mountainous area, so we don't have any TV reception, so we had a satellite dish. And with the satellite dish, we got East Coast programming 3 hours early, being out in the West Coast.
Yeah.
So my partner Mark was over, and we were watching David Letterman one night, and out comes Spuds McKenzie. And we look at each other and we go, oh, fuck, what's Anheuser-Busch doing with this? And within a couple months, we got a letter from AB saying, you've stolen our idea. Get rid of the dog. So we had our lawyer draft a letter to go back to AB saying, here are the facts. And it took about a year and a half to finally get it resolved. And ultimately, AB said, no problem, keep the dog. The problem over this year and a half period is they kept advertising with Spuds, and people believed that we were copying Spuds.
I see.
Because we had no money for advertising.
Yeah.
So when AB finally said, no problem, keep the dog, we went to our lawyers and we said, if they don't have a problem with us, should we have a problem with them? And the lawyer said, look, here's the best you can hope for. Wicked Ale was only available in California. So the best you can hope for, and you may not even get it, is to prevent Spuds from being used in California.
Yeah.
And you'll lose your company in legal fees. So what do you want to do?
Yeah. You're like, I'll get a cat.
So we changed.
Okay.
A gecko. That's a good one.
Back to the Wicked for a second, because someone wanted to know, was there any late hopping in the Wicked or only bittering hops?
We dry hopped it.
You dry hopped it, really?
Yeah, we wanted bitterness, not a huge amount of bitterness, but we wanted the hop aroma. So I don't know if we were. I assume Sarah was dry hopping too, but I think we were one of the few.
Probably one of the first ones that were doing that.
Yeah.
We decided to dry hop.
Which is interesting, even for a brown ale, that you decided to dry hop that. You wanted some aroma.
Well, it sounds like from the earlier conversation that it was kind of a bastard of beers. That it was an American brown ale, which has a little bit of hop aroma to it.
Well, you can argue who started it, but we like to take credit for inventing the style of American brown ale because we started with the Wicked Ale and got the gold medal for it. But
I invented the internet.
What I was trying to do in the beginning was, because my partner didn't drink and he left the brewing up to me, I thought, if we're going to start a company, what if we're not successful? I want to have a beer that I can drink the inventory of.
You, sir, are a man after my own business heart there.
So my favorite beer at the time was Samuel Smith's Nut Brown Ale.
There you go.
And I tried copying it. The first time was not that close. Second time was closer. Third time was okay. Fourth time was another failure. But the fourth failure was so good. It was so much better than any beer I ever had. I said, screw it. The hell with it.
That's it.
Why bother copying Sam Smith's when we got this?
Okay.
And it turns out, why was it different? Sam Smith's Nut Brown Ale is a slightly sweet example of an English brown ale. We added more hopping, so it was more bitter.
Yeah.
The bitter balanced the sweetness.
Yeah.
Where Sam Smith's, it's really directionally on the sweet side. And that balancing of sweet and bitter was so important to me. And one theme we had with our beers at Pete's was balance. We didn't want to be extremely sweet or extremely bitter. We wanted all flavors to be noticeable, but working in harmony. And I guess you can say that you can blame us for not having really out there beers, but our feeling was we wanted to be creative with our artistry and the flavor profiles, but let everything work together so you can notice everything and not have one thing overpower everything.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great thing.
Wasn't Pete's Wicked Ale initially, for some reason I remember it being darker than...
Well, in the beginning we used extract, and then when we went to grain it might have changed in color.
Wow, when you first were having it brewed, it was an extract brew. Yeah,
we used a company called Palo Alto Brewing, Bob Stoddard's company in Mountain View, California, and his brewery was only an extract brewery.
Is that right?
And I mentioned before the flatulence caused by extract.
Sure, that's right.
Thank God when we went to grain.
Yeah. Actually, just to stop that.
That brewery is actually still alive and well, I think.
In Oakland.
The equipment is at
Oakland.
Pacific Coast Brewing Company.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, is that the same brewery now?
Same brewery.
Oh, we've had him on the show then.
Yeah.
That's the same. No kidding.
I don't know if all the equipment, but certainly part of the equipment went to Oakland.
That was the first Pete's. Wow, what a small world! Yeah, because we've had him in here. In fact, if you go back to the first season, if you will, of the Sunday show, you'll find the Pacific Coast, and because he's still brewing extract today out of that place. Very interesting. Okay. I want to know how many different beers you guys were brewing at your peak and how you dealt with that. Because you guys had several, right?
People always said, okay, it sounds like you're a success, but come on, not everything can be successful. What were the major problems you encountered?
Okay.
And I got to say, the proliferation of flavors was probably our biggest mistake.
Really?
Yeah. Why?
How many flavors?
At our peak, we had 10 year-round flavors and 4 seasonals, so we had 11 flavors at any given time.
Wow.
Okay, why is that bad? When you're running a business, you have to be able to give instructions to your sales force. We want to focus on this. When you have 11 beers, it's hard to give focus to the sales force.
Okay.
The distributor says, what the fuck are you doing to me? I have to buy inventory of 11 products? There's no way in hell I want to invest in 11 flavors when I don't know if all of them are going to sell.
Yeah.
And third is fucking ego. That we had the ego to believe that the retailer would put all these flavors on the shelf.
Yeah, you were like, hey, we're that good.
Yeah. So our biggest mistake was to rapidly expand our portfolio. We had 5 beers at one time. And they were great flavors. Matter of fact, at one of the pubs we went to earlier, one of the servers came up and said, oh, I really miss your maple porter. Well, that was part of the,
She also slipped him her number.
But, you have to understand that create, I'm trying to change the topic.
I'm sorry.
Gracefully.
Amy's listening.
Yeah.
But when you're running a business, it's, the beer is important, the flavors are important, but you have to understand the mentality of your customers. And I think what we did successfully overall was understand that our customers weren't just the drinkers at the end, that we have customers in our sales force, customers at the retailer, customers at the wholesaler, as well as the ultimate customer.
So, I'm sorry. What would you have done again, if you had to do it over again? What would you have done differently?
Less
SKUs.
We would have had less flavors and put more focus on the flagship Wicked Ale.
I want to know if it was the home brewer in you that put out all those flavors, or just that you wanted to sell a bunch more beer.
Well, it wasn't just me. I mean, we had a pretty big company at the time, and one of the other decisions we made, very important decision, was when we started the company, my partner kept his day job and I kept my day job.
Okay.
And we tested the concept, got beer out, and we found out the concept had a lot of merit, but wasn't going anywhere because we kept our day jobs. We couldn't devote the time.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting one night, kind of a come to Jesus meeting, and we said, how do we make the brand meet its potential? Do you, Mark, become president? Do I become president? And thank God we're on the same wavelength. We said, we think we're smart guys, but if either one of us became president, we don't know the beer business. And there would be months, if not years, of learning the business. Let's not let our ego get in the way. Let's go outside. We hired a headhunter and hired somebody from the beer business to be the day-to-day president.
Okay.
And we said, it's better for the business that we hire an outsider than to let either one of us let the ego get involved.
Right. I have to say that interviewing you today, Pete, has made me feel like a complete and utter failure so far. Because I'm thinking of all of the ridiculous things that I've done as far as making this thing happen. And you guys really started from a place that was you just made a lot of really great decisions. You really
sometimes you get lucky
from the right place.
You made a lot of good decisions. What does that feel like?
It feels like being retired early is what it feels like.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. Feels like being retired twice.
Retarded? Yes.
All right, I got to tell a little story to get your reaction, and I meant to do it earlier in the show, and I forgot, and then someone has asked me about it because I've mentioned it before.
See, another bad decision.
And it's how I met Pete.
Uh-oh.
And
this is a good story.
And I really want to know if you remember this too, Pete, because it is a good story because I'm a douchebag is why it's a good story. So I met Pete at Sean O'Sullivan at the 218 563 2nd Street.
At beer school.
At beer school, that's right. He holds a beer
school. But I don't remember that.
Every now and then. Yeah, but I wasn't there. Yeah. And I was in the corner. Yeah, you were the asshole, but I don't remember. So he was holding a beer school and we went out to it. And Sully's been great for the show. He's always telling people, hey, he introduces me to a lot of people. But Sean was busy that day, so what I assume happened is that he went to Pete and he said, hey, over there is Justin and he does that beer show that I'm involved in sometimes and you should introduce yourself. You guys should talk. I just assume that's what happened because I'm sitting in my corner there and Pete comes up to me and he says, hi, I'm Pete Slosberg, and I don't know Pete.
Right.
I think that there should be...
Because you never read the book.
Because I hadn't read the book. Exactly.
Read the book.
And I'm going to say right now that I think that there should be a mandate that you should always introduce yourself as the artist formerly known as Pete's Wicked. So that people like me who are retarded know that you're not just Pete, you're Pete. All right.
Or at least wear the shirt.
So Pete comes up...
I put my pants on left leg first. How do you put your pants on?
We don't wear pants.
I don't wear pants at all. So he comes up and he says, I'm Pete Slosberg. I hear you have a radio show. And I think that he's just a guy asking about the radio show. So I'm not a dick or anything, but I say, yeah, I do a radio show. And then he said, what's it about? And I said, well, it's good. My final statement to Pete is basically, because I was trying to say whether or not he should listen to it, and I essentially said, it's fun and it's good if you're into beer. This is what I say to Pete, and he nods his head at me and turns around and walks away.
He puts the big L on his forehead and walks away like, okay,
yes,
loser.
This is what I say.
Appropriate response.
I say it's a good show if you're into beer. He turns, he walks away. Dr. Scott, my co-host, then Pete. So this is after you leave. He looks at me and he's shaking his head at me and he goes, Do you know who that was? You fucking asshole. That was Pete. Pete. Like the Pete. And I'm like, what? Pete what? He's like, Pete's Wicked. And I went into hiding. I sank to the floor. I felt like such an ass after that I had just said to Pete, well, if you're into beer, it's a good show.
I have to pour a beer, as you're saying. Am I into beer?
So the question from the listener, and I have to admit that I have the question too, is what was your reaction to that? Or do you even, was it anything at all? Because Sean had
I've had so much fun of these beer schools of the 21st Amendment, but who do they invite to this thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I completely, I don't know who that is.
And I said,
Justin, I don't know who that is.
I said
you went to the wrong guy.
After too, I said, Sean, I just made a total ass of myself. I just said, if you like beer, to Pete. So then I emailed you and thinking this guy is never going to respond to my email to come on the show. And you did. You've been very gracious ever since. You've been busy, but very gracious. I hope that I didn't come off as too much of a dick.
No, it's just coming out to Nevada for your show. It's just...
it's been
You know, you're going to meet like Augie Bush, and it's going to be like, yeah, I do it. If you're into beer.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to be like, well, if you know anything about beer.
And he's going to go, no.
Yeah.
I'm not into beer. I'm more into wine spritzers.
I will crush you. I will buy your little network out and crush you.
This is Augie. Listen.
He's on IB now?
Listen, Justin, me and Pete, we will crush you.
I do want to say, now that you are talking about this thing, we had the gentleman on before about a friend passing. I do want to mention one of my friends passing, who I really miss, Alan Eames.
The writer.
The king of beer, as he called himself.
Yeah.
An amazing guy. He was my mentor. I heard him at a conference talking about these weird stories from the history of beer. And I called him up and I said, is this bullshit? He said, no, it's all real. So he became a mentor and actually got me to, in all my travels, whether in Europe or here, going to brewing archives or industry archives and looking up old beers going back 300 years on stories from the world of beer. And actually I have a collection of about 600 books now, going back 300 years.
No kidding.
And what to me, what was so great about it wasn't so much what beers were like 300 years ago, but the stories about it that kind of makes it human. Words and phrases that we use every day.
Yeah.
Mind your P's and Q's. Do you know what that's from?
Pints and quarts.
Right. Pub owners yelling out when the crowd got rowdy, mind your pints and quarts.
Yeah.
Doing things by the rule of thumb is one of my favorite.
That is a good one. I like that one. Tell that one.
Okay, that's it comes directly from the brewing process where, well, there's one theory that doing things by the rule of thumb meant you could beat your wife with a stick that was smaller than the diameter of your thumb.
I remember that, which is my favorite, by the way.
I think we should repeat that one again.
But
the brewing one. Yeah.
But on the brewing one, the thermometer wasn't invented till the 1760s. So how did a brewer know when to add yeast? You boil the liquid, it's hot, it's cooling off. If you added the yeast too soon, the heat would kill it. If you added it too late, the yeast wouldn't propagate.
Yeah.
So they discovered that if you put your thumb in the cooling liquid, when you put the thumb in and it got to body temperature, where you couldn't feel a temperature difference, if you pitched your yeast then, you get a fermentation out of it, a proper fermentation.
Yeah.
So literally, when you do things by the rule of thumb, when it feels good, you do it.
Yeah.
So Alan introduced me to this concept, and I just got so turned on. And there's so many great stories. Who here in the audience, the Peanut Gallery,
yes,
knows where the Pilgrims landed?
Plymouth?
Yeah,
Plymouth. You know why they landed at Plymouth?
They ran out of beer.
They didn't run out of beer.
They were low?
No.
They didn't.
That's not the story?
Not the Pilgrims.
Oh. Who is it that ran out of beer, so that's why they landed? I thought it was the Pilgrims.
No, not the Pilgrims. It was the sailors of the ship.
That's right.
Back hundreds of years ago, when ships were traveling around the world, the water supplies of Europe were tainted with sewage, so you could die, if not get sick, from local water in Europe. So they carried beer. Yeah, the beer might go bad, but it was not. They didn't know the chemistry of beer, but even though the beer might have gone sour, it wouldn't hurt you. So they carried beer. So when the Pilgrims booked passage on the Mayflower, they weren't going to Massachusetts. They were going to Virginia, where other British colonists were. When they got across the Atlantic, they hit an island. They thought it was an island. Turned out to be Cape Cod. And the crew, everybody was happy they made it across the Atlantic, so while they were resting, the crew did an inventory check of their supplies, and they calculated that their beer supply was such that they didn't have enough to take the Pilgrims to Virginia with enough left over to get home to England. So they said, screw the passengers, let's go to the mainland and kick them off so there'd be enough beer to get home.
Oh, I see. All right. I see. Yeah, I always knew it was something, and I didn't know that it was so that they calculated enough to get back home. I thought they had to get there and figure out how to brew some.
So the Pilgrims were like probably church-going folk.
They
probably didn't like teetotalers, and the crew was like, this sucks.
Now, you mentioned the term teetotaler. You know what that comes from?
No. People that total tea.
You're a 21st Amendment kind of guy.
He doesn't even work there. He's hardly even seen the place, Pete.
Well, it probably comes from the temperance movement.
It does. Bingo. Very good. Yeah, and during the temperance movement, in trying to recruit folks to the movement, they couldn't get everybody to get on their bandwagon by saying no alcohol whatsoever. So they had two levels. They had temperance where they wouldn't drink hard spirits, and temperance where they wouldn't drink anything. So a teetotaler is temperance total, meaning if you wouldn't have any alcohol whatsoever, you were a teetotaler, temperance totaler.
Aha. See, now the writer that you're talking about, too, Daniela, she used to do a segment on the show and did a segment right after he passed away, did a whole segment on the guy. I just want to mention that not only was he great at this beer history that he did, and he really went out and seeked out beer history all over the world, but I was doing some reading about him, and he also really was kind of a godfather of craft beer. He really consulted with a lot of beer companies too, didn't he? Help with recipes and help with different things like that.
Mostly history, but his wife, Anne, Alan went all around the world looking at native beers, including Brazil, and his wife Anne came up with the concept. She created Zingu.
Yeah.
You familiar with that? The Brazilian black beer?
Yep. Yeah.
So they created that and got that distributed in the U.S.
Okay. Fair enough then. A good tribute to him as well, because it's very recent, his passing, and he really was one of the beer greats. Like guys like me and Jay Brooks and I'm not putting myself in the same caliber at all, but and Michael Jackson, like these kind of guys who, like us, who don't necessarily make the beer but talk about it and report about it and go out and find it. It's guys like him who set that up for us, who really kind of went out and did it first and made it available to us, and realized that there was an audience, that people wanted to know about these kind of things. And so
let's toast him.
Yeah,
it's a toasting show.
It is a toasting show, so toast to him.
Alan.
Cheers to Alan.
Cheers to Alan. And what I think we're going to do is take another quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to wrap things up with Pete, and we're going to then go eat.
What are we going to say when Sean dies?
I'm going to say shit.
Whew, thank God he's gone.
I'm going to call Nico and ask if he
563 2nd Street. Yeah. We'll be on the gravestone.
Nico, you need a partner? What's happening, brother?
Wait, what's crack-a-lackin', son?
Yeah.
I can make beer. You want a sour beer? Give me one.
Who you got on the phone there, Stephanie? Some crazy dude?
He wants to talk about what else can kill dogs.
I don't want to
shotgun.
Chocolate.
Like, no,
who is it?
Hops.
I'm not sure who it is, but hops can kill dogs, and he...
But I think only used hops, though, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't want to have that conversation.
He's on there to tell you about it.
All right, everybody, hops can kill dogs, all right? There you go. Sorry, buddy. I don't want to have that conversation. I got to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap things up with Pete, and we're glad to have him here. And if you got any questions, 888-401-BEER is the number. You can join Stephanie in the chat room. She's helping you out there. I got a few more questions in front of me already that I'll be throwing at Pete. We'll be right back. Hang in there, everybody.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Fix your door.
Better get out of my general store.
Well, you sold me one, you can sell me one more.
I ain't gonna sell you no beer no more.
Tea
taking Tanqueray and Darby set out on a double date. You can pop them in the Pontiac, but bring it back to me. Hey, you are too drunk to think about it, might as well try. 100 pretty ladies and they're giving me the eye. Boys will be boys, men will be men. You know what you done, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. Gonna do it again. What do you know?
Well, you're on the interstate and you're going slow.
Yeah, I missed my turn. Which way do I go?
Step out of the car, you're going to jail.
No! You are too drunk to think about it. Might as well try. 100 pretty ladies and they're giving me the eye.
Walk the line, heel to toe. Tilt your head back and touch your nose.
What?
Walk the line, heel to toe. Tilt your head back and touch your nose. Walk the line, heel to toe. Tilt your head back and touch your nose. Now recite backwards the alphabet.
Up yours, pig, you do that shit. You are too drunk to think about it, might as well try. 100 pretty ladies and they're giving me the eye. Walk the line, heel to toe. Tip your head back and touch your nose. Walk the line, heel to toe. Play the guitar, go to the go. Tip my head back and touch your nose. Walking the line, heel to toe. Tip my head back and touch your nose.
Put your hands on your hips, follow the pen.
I can't hear you, sir. Say it again.
Put your hands on your hips and follow the pen.
You know I fucked your sister in the back of my van.
Put your hands on your hips and follow the light.
Sir, I just want to go home tonight. You are too drunk to think about it. Might as well try. Cold ain't starting 4th of July. Told you once, told you twice. Drinking and driving is a bad man's vice. Told you once, told you twice. Drinking and driving is a bad man's vice. Told you once, told you twice. Drinking and driving is a bad man's vice.
This is www.thebruingnetwork.com.
Sit down next to it, grab yourself a paper towel, and watch those yeast have sex.
You're listening to the Brewing Network.
O sinner, do not stray from the straight and narrow way, for the Lord is surely watching what you do. If you approach the devil's den, turn round, don't enter in, lest the hand of the Almighty fall on you. He'll fuck you up. Yes, God will fuck you up if you dare to disobey His stern command. He'll fuck you up. Don't you know He'll fuck you up? So you better do some praying while you can. Long ago a man named Lot had a wife he thought was hot, but she could not stop her black and sinful ways. You know it was her own damn fault when God turned that bitch to salt. That's the way He used to work back in those days. He fucked him up. He really fucked him up when the people went and turned their backs on Him. He can fuck you up. No shit, He'll fuck you up. Just like He fucked the people up back then. I used to have a friend named Ray who walked that evil way. He cursed and drank and broke his neighbor's fence. You know Ray was full aware that some sheep were over there, and he knew them in the biblical sense. God fucked him up. He went and fucked Ray up, went and paid him back for all his wicked sins. He fucked him up. Fucked that boy completely up. Now he's married
the pizza arrived, and we're having a hard time getting back to the show. Blondie's Pizza, I just want to announce right now, is one of the best pizzas in the Bay Area.
Yes.
And we're enjoying it quite a bit.
Tasty, man.
Pete's got himself some Blondies right now. He's stuffing his face. The rest of us are, too. A lot of good beer in the studio tonight.
That was a 2p break.
Yeah.
So you get the bag, and you don't have to do that.
That's amazing. I haven't had a 2p break in a while.
Interesting backstory on what's happening here. Did I mention this already?
Probably.
That Pete and Chad, who's kind of like the guy behind the scenes here, they're like bonding over Connecticut.
Yeah, they
Both
are.
these guys grew up in like the same neighborhood or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's been like this thing about the food there. It's been awesome.
I'm thinking of hiring Chad as the producer of the show. He does a really great job anyway. Maybe I ought to just get him on full time, and I'll pay him in, like, beer.
If you haven't experienced whole belly fried clams from southeastern Connecticut, you haven't lived.
Yeah. He's right.
Or pizza. There's like 8 million pizzas out there.
We all love Connecticut, because I'm from there too, but we all move away from it.
If we liked it, we'd be there.
Yes, we love to visit and talk about it and how great it is.
Isn't it fun to reminisce?
And we just don't want to live there. All right.
You can't buy alcohol on Sunday. What kind of state is that?
No, you can't.
And you can visit Connecticut by going to 563 2nd Street.
That's right. Straight shot. Right to Connecticut.
They did change a couple of the blue laws, though, Pete. Now I think they can sell beer till 9. And if the liquor store wants to, they can stay open on Sunday.
Wow.
But they don't want to. None of them want to. So they've just stuck with the, forget it. So, yeah.
So their business model's kind of whacked.
Yeah, damn blue laws. It's crazy.
They need a what would Pete do mantra.
And we'd open.
All right, we're going to be wrapping things up here. 888-401-BEER is the phone number if you have any final questions, or you can join Stephanie in the chat room. She'll send the questions also. I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this off the top of your head, Pete. This came from the chat room. You had mentioned the caramel malt that's in your Wicked. They want to know what lava bond it was, because there's a couple different caramels.
The answer is 60.
60.
60 degrees lava bond.
There you go. 60L caramel.
Come on, bring him on.
He's ready to go.
I like that. The answer is 60.
Looks like we'll be playing Stump the Brewer a little bit later, because Pete knows it.
You don't think he has an unfair edge about his own beers, though?
They want to know if and again, don't know if you know, at Gambrinus, now that they have Pete's, is Wicked Ale under a new recipe, or do you think they're carrying your recipe?
Oh, it's definitely a brand new recipe.
Really? They've done a whole new thing. Now, why do you think that is? Did they just feel like they could make a better thing, or just, is that what happens when people, you just got to do things new when you buy a company?
You got to ask them.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. People want to know how you first got into contract brewing. It sounds like it was a budget thing when we were talking about it earlier.
Well, it wasn't a budget thing. It was a strategy thing.
Okay.
And the strategy was, given limited resources, like we didn't have 1.7 million like Sean had in his pocket.
Yeah.
I thought it was 10 million earlier.
Whatever.
We'll go
What's
with
the
flow.
difference?
You have to ask yourself, how important is building your own brewery?
Okay.
And we had two answers to that. One, we thought we could get better quality from a partner brewer. Mm-hmm. And number two, if our ego told us that this brand had potential and it grew, that whatever we built, whatever it might cost, $500,000, $1 million to get it going, would be obsolete in a couple of years. So from a cash perspective, why bother spending any money on it?
Yeah. Now, how about as the company grew, over the course of the years, did you guys ever think maybe we ought to have our own place, or?
The answer is no, and no.
Because it worked, right? What you were doing was working.
You know what's interesting is that this argument, or this discussion actually, is really kind of an American phenomenon.
Yeah.
You go to Belgium and you talk to brewers over there. Like, I got a great tour from this guy who was starting his own brewery, gave me a tour of Cantillon in Brussels, and he's trying to develop his own beer and all that, and he's brewing it at another brewery in Belgium. And you talk to the people at Earthel Brewery, and they're brewing it somewhere else. So it's kind of this thing that if you don't own your kettles, then you're not worth your salt. And I take issue with that. I think that if you have the quality product and all that, what's wrong? What's the big deal?
Germany has that problem too, that the market for beer is going south in Germany, and you have all these small local family breweries. And I actually got asked to speak in Munich at a worldwide beer convention to talk about contract brewing. The Germans just believe because their families owned it for 6 generations, they have to maintain the brewery when it makes no economic sense.
Yeah, these are hard times, and building and putting tanks in place and running a staff and all that is it's expensive. So and I'm not taking anything away from it. I mean,
of course not.
You know, you've got breweries out there that are doing a great job that own the whole thing, but I also think that there's another way to do it.
Testosterone thing almost. If it's like you got to have your own.
It's like the big dig contest.
Like how big is your kettle?
I drive a Hummer.
Oh wait, sorry.
I'll have you know that Pete, possibly, not possibly, I'm just saying that to be nice to like Sean, the most successful person in the room, drives a hybrid. Drives a little Honda hybrid.
You know, I wondered who that was in the driveway. I thought no one that works on the show is responsible.
My little putt-putt.
He's got nothing to compensate for, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He just gets in his hybrid and he feels comfortable with himself.
Well, I have a big truck and I'm Irish, so go figure.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the phones. We got Bub on the line.
Oh, Lord.
Get the timer. Get the Bub timer ready. What's happening, Bub?
Oh, hey, I just wanted to give props that we have some estrogen in the room other than the man estrogen that's normally there.
I agree.
With Stephanie. I mean, she obviously has no taste being with Sully, but given that, she is a welcome addition to the show.
I will bypass the Bub timer just this once because I think you're right. And how's she doing in the chat room?
She's doing spectacularly.
All right, good work. Good. Then.
She's taken, Bub, and so are you.
Yeah, Bub, you know what?
Just leave it.
And I told her that when she was flirting with me, and that was
okay. You tramp.
Bub, when you're here, I'm going to tape you to the couch and put things on you.
Yeah.
And they won't be inanimate objects.
Bubba, you're going to let me put Hallertau hops in your IPA like an idiot.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was drunk and vulnerable.
Bub, you're coming out for the anniversary show again, right?
You're right.
Yeah, he is.
You can't swing it?
Yeah, I'm there's
Dude, don't be such a pussy.
A 2-month-old right now. So
all right.
Well, maybe someone should have thought of that before they decided to have intercourse.
Didn't you have like a 2-week-old last time, or like
no,
not even born?
He traded up.
Oh. Yeah,
I had a 1-year-old, so now I'll have like a 2.5-year-old.
You can make it.
But when your vagine drops, just let us know.
Yeah. Sell them and you can start anew.
Hey, Sully, were you sponsoring me? Were you going to pay?
That's what Pete asked him.
What's the right answer?
Sean's paying for me to go to Austin for the Brewers Conference.
I heard that. I heard that was the deal.
We're all going to go.
I love the man that sold his company for $70 million, is looking for me to pay for it.
To fly him out to Austin.
Hey, that makes good business sense.
You know, it really does, JP.
Was that the final deal? Did they pay you $70 million for Pete's Wicked?
Yes, they did.
Any residuals?
But it wasn't to me. We had we had 50 investors. So
you had 50 investors. No kidding.
I love you, Pete.
Yeah, it's Bob. I'm speechless. I don't even want to speak anymore.
Pete, do you get any royalties or something off the name, or is it just a clean
anything on the back end?
Clean slate. That's it.
Dude, fair enough.
Yeah. Adios.
You know what, though?
Wow.
I love that you're asking him to fly you out to Austin still. Yeah. I think that's brilliant. I do the same thing.
Well, you just missed it because Bub said, Pete, I love you, and he was in some sort of masturbatory fantasy right now. He's sitting, in a dark room somewhere.
What do you mean, like if he was?
Me and Bub, we can't even find $70 million in Monopoly money. We've bought several board games, and we still haven't added up that.
I love you, Pete.
I even use the Xerox at work, and I can't get that high.
No, it's new money. It's black and white money. Take it.
Thanks, Bub.
Thank you.
Out.
Props to Stephanie. That's always nice to hear, right? It is good, too. I don't know, Sully and Steph, if you guys listened to last week, though, but I was getting fed up with all the dudes in the room. It was ugly.
I heard that. I listened to that show.
It got bad.
Yeah.
I just was like, come on, give me a break. Get me out of here. Need some female presence.
Well, do any women listen to your show?
Yeah, a couple. In fact,
no, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just...
No, you're right. No, in the beer industry in general, you're absolutely right. Men. It's 99.9%. So same with our listenership. It's about there. We do have some women listeners. I get emails sometimes. A lot of guys it's the guys who write in. Occasionally I get females that give feedback. But some guys go, hey, me and my wife listen to the show. We love the show. You guys have helped kind of get her into beer, things like that.
So Pete's like in a different league because we show up at Schooners and the female serving staff is all over him like white on rice.
He's a poon magnet.
He really was.
You need to go to homebrew conventions, Pete, because I tell you what, that's a desolate place for a single man.
Yeah, so if your wife is concerned about you going to events, go to a homebrew event. You'll be fine.
I spoke at the National Homebrewers Conference years ago, and I presented our beer education chart. And I got to tell you, it took homebrewers to give us a creative spark for doing a beer T-shirt with our education chart.
Yeah.
And the guys in the front of the audience said, you should create a T-shirt with the beer chart upside down on it. And I thought to myself, that's kind of twisted. Why put it upside down? But then I thought about it, and I thought two things. Number one, it's so different, people would look at it and wonder what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And number two, the answer is, if it's upside down, you can pull the shirt out and read the chart by looking down on it.
It's true. Absolutely. And speaking of women listeners, I do need to announce, and I don't know how I feel about this, but Mrs. H is pregnant. Again.
What?
Again. And I guess I want to say congratulations, but don't the two of them have like 13 kids?
Someone called her what was it? Not a baby factory, but something
breeding
a lot more funny.
Yeah, but like those two must be like rabbits,
How many
Mr. and
kids do
Mrs.
they
H.
have?
4.
I think they have 4 now, but she's like younger than anybody in this room.
How old is she?
I think she's like 8. I'm pretty sure
she's from the Midwest, and they get you look at them wrong. And
they
pregnant.
start early there. I think she's like 26 or 27.
It's that.
And
I think she's
now
younger than
pregnant with her.
Mr. H.
50.
Condoms. Look it up.
Put that thing away, dude. I mean, those guys.
It was funny because
congratulations, though.
Instantly, the chat knew that she goes, "So, I have an announcement," and then instantly people go, "You're pregnant. What are you pregnant? You're pregnant again. I know you're pregnant again. You're probably pregnant again, huh?"
How old's her youngest?
Yeah.
A week, I think.
9. She's 8 and her youngest is 9. That's how these people work.
Where are they from? Kansas?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Mr. H, by the way, is the guy who's getting the Brewing Network.
The chat room is going a little crazy with that.
He's getting a tattoo of the Brewing
Does he
Network
have it
logo.
yet?
No, I think he's working on it, though.
Oh, come on.
The guy was busy.
Forget flying Pete out to Austin for the Craft Brewers Conference. I'm sending them a case of condoms.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Pete. Someone wants to know if when you brewed. This is a Brewing Network thing. Do you brew with pants on?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I brew with boxers.
There you go. No pants, Pete.
Atta boy. That's our boy, Pete. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple of questions about the chocolates. I know you're not involved with the company there anymore either, but people want to know where they can get them, and can they get them online or anything like that? They want to try your chocolates.
You have to, I'm not sure where they're available.
I could tell you where they were. We still sell them, actually.
At 563 2nd Street.
At 21st Amendment. I didn't see the display.
Are you selling them there? Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
We did 2 chocolate dinners with the 21st Amendment where their chef used our chocolate in every course and then was paired with a beer, and these were probably the best dinners we've ever been to.
It was awesome. We sold out the whole place.
Including a chocolate salad. Can you imagine a chocolate salad? Their chef created a mix of greens with shaved dark chocolate, shaved Reggiano Parmesan,
fennel,
roasted nuts, and a vinaigrette. The combination was spectacular.
Wow. That sounds great.
It's too bad they didn't have any good decent beer there to
oh God.
Can I just say Pete just said nuts?
Go ahead. I'll allow it one time.
All right. Pete just said nuts.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have Mrs. Henning on the line. I still have a couple questions in front of me for you, Pete, about your beer, too, so I'm going to get to that. Mrs. Henning, congratulations, and what the hell?
There's no congratulations necessary.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
24 even.
And how many is this now?
I'm not even pregnant. It was just an April Fool's joke.
Hey, good job. Our first April Fool's of the day.
Yeah, I got everybody. It was pretty good.
You did, but you know what's sad is that we all believed it because you have 4 already, and we're thinking like this isn't a stretch. You know what I mean?
Yep.
No pun intended.
That was a good joke. All right.
Stretch.
Thank you.
So note to file, Mr. H, tattoo, vasectomy.
Yes. Yeah, you guys got to curb the baby output. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like 4 is enough, right?
That is true.
Are you guys thinking about more later?
Oh, no.
All right.
No more kittens either.
No.
Yeah.
This from a lady who just sounds overworked.
No
in
cats
the baby
and
department,
no babies.
You know? She's like, no. I'll kill him if he ever does it again.
All right, good one. You got us, Mrs. H. Nice work. All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Bag and lake 'em.
That a girl. That's fun. Jeez.
What?
Someone had to get us on April Fool's.
I was, yeah, okay.
But we believed it. That's what the funny thing is. We believed it.
Yeah. By the way, all this time, it's been my roommate Chad who's been speaking as Pete. Pete's not even here.
Yeah. April Fools.
Yeah. April Fools, everybody. We just thought it'd be a good one.
It's a Connecticut connection.
And we've had pants on this whole time.
People want to know, and you could answer this both for your homebrew and for the Pete's Wicked. People want to know what kind of yeast you used. Is that a proprietary secret? It's not yours anymore, is it? So you don't care.
Well, as I mentioned, we use Brewing Partners.
Yeah. So whatever they had, in
whatever
their
house yeast was, we had to work with. So
that's right. We talked about it changing.
So it changed each time.
What did you start with? What was your original? Do you remember?
Well, it was Palo Alto Brewing Company and Mountain View's yeast.
Whatever they had.
Whatever they had.
How about your homebrewed version? What would you use then? Back in the day, was it
whatever wine the people had? There weren't a lot of choices back then.
Yeah, back in the day, you had to take it.
Probably beer, bread yeast. I don't remember.
You threw some sourdough in there.
Yeah.
And for homebrew, you got a favorite style that you used to like to brew?
I don't know if I ever brewed the same style twice.
No,
I always experimented. You know, the fun thing about brewing is why do the same thing over and over again?
Yeah.
You know, do twists and variations.
Agreed. Okay, and I think the last thing of the day is people want to know what's in your future because you've had a lot to do with different things.
I've been so inspired by this radio show, I think I'm going to get into broadcasting.
Is it right? Because I have a sponsorship program that...
I know a beer and can company that needs to do some promotion.
Yeah.
They need to start selling it outside of the brewery. First they need to do.
Especially because that stuff's going out all over the country. You got to talk to those fans.
You know, I got a 6-pack of it, and every one I opened up, it splashed all over. It was, I don't know who loaded the yeast in the beer, but it was foaming all over.
What are you getting at?
His name is Jesse.
You've done a couple of pretty big companies. Are you looking to open another, or are you going to just retire? What do you think?
I rode my bicycle 25 miles this morning before coming here, and that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. So you
don't have any ideas though? Something else on the horizon?
Come on. You got something.
I want to help people in need like Sean on his beer project.
Well, you're doing that already, but what else?
Helping others.
Okay.
Helping others.
It's like a venture capital kind of thing?
Consultant?
Well, not even consulting, just helping. I'm not charging.
Yeah.
Free beer every once in a while is okay.
No, it was great. Nico and I had dinner with Amy and Pete, his wife, at the 2-1A a couple nights ago, and at
5:26.
and he just asks questions and throws things out, and it's like you just sit there as a sponge and absorb everything. So even during the show, I've been just like listening the whole time. So.
I agree. You did the same today as we're meeting people at the breweries that we went to. You're like, hey, tell me about your mistakes. Tell me what you do different. And I'm just listening. I had great questions to ask. And, from a guy who's really...
I wouldn't say they're great questions, though.
You like the answers better?
I think my answers were much better than the questions.
Yeah, that's fair. You ever go out and buy yourself a 6-pack of Pete's Wicked now?
No, I don't. What I can say about the reformulation is I got some test batches of it from Texas, and my comment was, boy, this tastes exactly like Newcastle Brown.
Oh, yeah?
And
interesting.
That got verified. So I'm not a fan of Newcastle Brown.
Okay. That's fair enough. I haven't had Pete's Wicked in years. I haven't had it since I got drunk on the strawberry.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things like with tequila, like you have a bad night on it and you don't go back.
Yeah.
I never went back. But I grew up on it. Like, that was the thing. Like, if you wanted something tasty, especially on the East Coast, we were talking about how we thought you were an East Coast company for so long because it was so popular back there. Plus the word wicked. That's
wicked
that's
good.
A Baston thing.
Dude.
And,
tell you what year did you have this horrible experience on it?
I would say You know what? It was the year you sold the company.
Well, then there you go.
It was right around 97, and that's the last time I've had Pete.
Then it doesn't matter.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Good timing.
I have inadvertently been aligned with Pete the whole time.
Yeah, that's wicked good timing.
Yeah, it was wicked good timing, as a matter of fact.
The good news, though, is what I love in all the travels is you can go anywhere in the United States now and find a decent beer. That's so good.
Yeah. And that's different. Now, that's the other thing. I guess the one question I didn't ask is, you kind of explained that you guys got into it because there were people trying to buy craft beer, but they couldn't find it very much. But it still was at a risky time. I mean, it was not a big business, and you guys jumped in right at the front there. How did you guys kind of evaluate that risk compared to the potential? You know, how did you feel like, okay, we don't have much, and we're going to take a stab at it, and this is it? I want to know, because that was really early in the game.
Well, you know, part of the equation is what was available. You had Bud Miller Coors.
Yeah.
You had regionals like Schlitz or Stroh's.
Yeah.
You had imports. Then you had a couple of micros. And if people wanted full flavor, even the imports weren't really delivering. Yeah, you could get Guinness. But most of the imports that were generally available weren't the full-flavored ones. You know, German lagers are not... They're great for what they are, but they're not all the flavors. So we had confidence that as people got exposed to these full-flavored beers, because we saw it with bread. Using bread as an example, specialty bread bakers all around the country were opening, and we also we call it the beer latitudes. And same for bread too. Basically, if you draw a line from D.C. to San Diego, anything above that line, you could sell decent bread or decent beer, and anything below would be more risky because it's too hot.
Okay.
People don't go for the full flavors in the hot temperatures.
Does that go today?
Yeah,
okay.
pretty much. Yeah.
All right. That's an interesting line.
That is really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
I was in Indiana where I bought that canning machine.
No, you weren't.
Automated line, and it's 0.5% of all the beer consumed in that state is craft beer, which is like lowest amongst all the states in the country.
Yeah.
And I think that might be below the line.
Yeah, so, that's a great, at least a general theory to decide where your beer is going to do well. Is that the Mason-Dixon line? Is that the same line? I wonder.
What are you trying to say about full flavor and color?
I'm just saying, I'm just wondering if it's the same line.
All right. Well, I have a question that might be too big to get into now, but how do you get your 50 investors? You know what I mean? Like, how does a growing company seek out people that are like-minded, especially in an industry that's really not, I think.
There's a saying in fundraising that it's called the F round. The F round, letter F. And what does F represent? Family, friends, and fools.
And that's who you go to.
That's all you can go to.
I don't know why Sully hasn't said yes yet, because he's got two of those F's for me. Yeah.
Which ones are those?
Your friend and you're not family. So the other F must be
raising money is hard, and that's why our model to raise to kind of prove the concept with $15,000 didn't take a lot of people to get in. And I didn't explain it, but we ran out of money 5 times. Over 5 years.
What'd you do then?
Well, we went back to the well and asked family and friends and fools and said, look, this is what we accomplished with the first $15,000. This is what we accomplished with the next $50,000.
Yeah.
Now we need $400,000. But you build a track record that you say this is what you're going to do and you do it.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit easier doing it that way than trying to raise a couple million with just being an unknown quantity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you put any of your own money in?
I did.
Yeah.
Did you because you had a good job, you mentioned that you didn't want to leave your job.
No.
And this is kind of what the thread is in our forum right now, too. You didn't want to leave your job. Did you really kind of lay it all on the line that if it didn't work out, you were going to be in trouble?
Other than investing some money, I kept my day job, and it wasn't until we started in 86. In 1990, I quit to go full-time.
Okay.
So the company wasn't at the zero stage.
Yeah.
We weren't big by far in 1990, but I put a little on the line in 1990, but we had 3 years under our belt.
Sure. It looked like you were going to be all right.
Well, we didn't know, but I was actually going to get transferred to Europe with IBM, and my wife wanted to go, and I told her, there's an opportunity for me to go full-time. If I don't do it, I'll regret it. Whether we make it or not, if I don't try it, I'll regret it. So
yeah.
she said, give it a shot.
So kind of in keeping with the thread on the forum right now, you worked at IBM, you left, and then you've gone on and done, something else. If you look back, do you wish you were still at IBM?
Hell fucking no.
What would Pete do?
I want to make a T-shirt that just says that.
Yeah.
3 words.
Plain as day.
So all you guys out there that want to open up your own place, what would Pete do?
Yeah.
Quit.
Get out of there. No, but it's not just that. I'll tell you what else Pete would do is everything he talked about in the beginning, which was line it up, stack the deck, talk about, because we get that. In fact, a lot of times people will, I told you about a friend of mine earlier, and I've seen threads in the forum where they go, hey, I have this opportunity. A guy's in trouble. He wants me to pick up his brewery. Or, I've got a partner. He's got some money. He wants me to be the brewer, and I've been homebrewing for a year and a half. And they're not thinking a lot about it. They're just thinking about the opportunity. Because sometimes opportunities come up.
Yeah, it's not the product, it's the brand.
Yeah.
The brand has to have potential. And the product, it's important. You have to have a product that delivers, but people buy into the brand, not the product.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I got a call for Drunk of the Week, and then we're going to get out of here.
We already got Drunk of the Week.
I know, but he wants to. I got to talk to him.
Oh, yeah, that's
the
true.
guy put in the effort. I can't just leave him.
He dialed.
I can't leave him drinking alone, can I?
No, you're right. I apologize. I'm stupid.
Andrew from Santa Cruz, what's happening, brother? Hey. What do you got?
Hey.
You going for Drunk of the Week?
It's very important that Mr. Henning gets his tattoo.
I know. He told me he isn't backing out on the tattoo. He just says he hasn't had time to meet up with the tattoo guy.
I don't know. It sounds like he might be shifting around the subject there.
You think he's pussing out?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I want to see a Brewing Network tattoo on somebody.
When did he say he was going to do that?
It was during our Linda Stark fundraiser, and he said if we come up with X amount, I'll get a Brewing Network tattoo. And lo and behold, we came up with a lot more than that, and he said he'll get the tattoo.
So he hasn't gotten it yet.
No, he hasn't. But maybe you ought to call in, Henning, and tell us what the deal is.
Yeah, I think I should.
I left him alone because I knew he hadn't gotten it yet, and I figured I'm going to give him a break. But I knew one of these days a listener was going to bring it up.
Yeah, he's got to get it soon, or else he'll be ashamed at the second anniversary.
That's true. What's that, Stephanie?
Mrs. Henning just sent me a message, and she said that he finally decided that he's going to put it on his back across his shoulders. It took him a really long time to decide.
Like across both shoulders? He's going to get a huge one?
He just put it on the back across the shoulders. That's all.
It's like a memento tattoo.
It's like an $800 tattoo.
And it's huge.
Henning, you have 4 kids. Come on.
What is it going to be? The logo?
He was going for the logo.
But it was supposed to be on his arm under his shirt line.
He didn't like that, though. She just said that to me.
La-di-da. You know what, though? I'm thinking right now, for his sake, I got some kick-ass new logos that are going to come out. And I'm not changing the Brewing Network logo, so it's not that. But this new theme we're doing is going to be... You guys are going to love it. I'm going to be doing a bunch of shirts with it. And he might want to get that tattooed instead.
Is it the Sean O'Sullivan fan club?
It's not. It's pretty cool, though. It has to do with the BN Army, and it kicks ass. So maybe he ought to wait a little while longer. I don't want him to get a tattoo when he could think...
No, but see, then he'd be old school.
That's true.
Keep it real.
He would be
right? Because didn't he want the old logo? Isn't that what it is?
I just asked her, what is it going to be? And it's going to be across both shoulders, and it's going to be huge.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Stephanie, that's like the watermelon wheat tattoo you have on your back?
Oh, that's right. The giant watermelon with the wheat strands coming off of it.
Giant can.
It's a big can.
No. It's just a giant watermelon with wheat strands coming off of it.
Well, now that you've got that, you should get a can on your can. You know what I mean? No.
I'm Jewish, though. We're not supposed to have too many tattoos.
Too many? Too many, yeah.
Especially on our cans.
All right, so what do you want? Drunk of the Week, too, Andrew? I can't get it. No, I can't. The guy's like, he had like a dead...
His dog was
dying. I can't take it away from him.
You're the runner-up.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
If the Drunk of the Week is unable to fulfill his duties...
I'll give you Drinker of the Week.
Okay, good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Buzzed Guy of the Week.
Cheers.
Does the new logo have Rat Pad in it?
Oh,
No.
Geist, I'm sorry. That had to have been you. What do you mean?
That was Geist.
Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah.
No
He's a
Rat
good man.
No Rat Pad. All right, everybody. We got to get out of here.
I'm making one.
It's been a fun time, and I want to thank Pete. I'm glad you made it out to the studio.
Seriously, that was good. It was a fun time.
Great show.
I think it took 3 plane transfers to get here, but I was happy to come.
And a jumper plane.
JP is going to give you gas money to get home.
That's true. I will.
Don't forget your passport.
The great Pete Slosberg, and if you want to know what's up with him in the future, well, you're just going to have to wait, because I think he doesn't know either.
Yeah.
Enjoying his time exercising and doing more than me and Sean do combined, which really doesn't take too much.
Well, certainly in the exercise department.
Yeah, absolutely. But what a great show. I'm really happy to have you. Thanks a lot for coming out here.
Yeah, definitely.
Here.
Can he come back?
Network.
All right, so we're going to have, we'll invite you back for sure, and we're going to go eat some pizza, some listener pizza, and some tri-tip, and we got some beer left over. Stephanie, I want to thank you for hanging out in the chat room there.
Thanks, I had a really good time.
It sounds like you did a good job. You'll have to come back, too.
I was just telling them I hope you invite me back.
You're officially invited back. You just let me know, and we'll do that, because I don't have an official chat person yet.
That's
so,
true.
Not that you haven't been doing a great job, JP. I'm sure they liked you just as well.
Hey, it's fine.
Don't kill yourself.
I'm trying not to.
Remember,
it's up and down the street, not across. Right?
No, I gotta go. I don't want to take another call. We're out of here. Next week, don't forget, is the competition show part 2. And if you want to send your beer in for that, you can email me, justin@thebrewingnetwork.com. Of course, you can send feedback to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. And we're going to be judging everybody's beers next week and really kind of giving you an example of what happens at the table behind the scenes.
That's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be a good thing. And we're going to have, I think, 3 BJCP certified judges, maybe more, in here judging your beer. So it's going to be a really good time.
It's like a legit competition. That's usually what they have on a flight.
It's kind of a competition.
2 or 3, yeah. So that's good.
So that's next week. The week after that, I think we're having Schooners in here.
Really?
I spoke to them today, and I think they're going to come down and do it. That's a GABF award-winning brewery out here, so we're going to be talking to them. Their brewer helped map the human genome. This is not a joke.
Did I hear that?
We will talk about that on the show in 2 weeks. You're going to want to tune in. Shirts and podcasts are available through our store. Just click the store button on our website. I'm going to have new ones coming up soon. If you haven't bought Brew Your Own magazine yet, you can order it through our website, and it's a great way to support us. So check it out. Brew Your Own magazine. Just click the big banner right there on the home page. And finally, click those ads on our website that rhyme with frugal. It's free. It doesn't spam you or anything else, and it helps us out a lot. I'm not allowed to say exactly what they are.
Don't be a poodle.
But they rhyme with frugal, everybody. Thanks a lot. You've all been great today and very nice to everybody. It was a very, very nice bunch of callers today.
This is a really fun show.
Thank God we got Sean here.
Yeah, I got to tell you,
he rounded out all the niceness.
It was small shoes to fill here with Doc.
Yeah,
I appreciate
because he's like 2 inches tall.
You did a great job, Sully, and I enjoyed looking over there and seeing your red head.
My big red, bright head.
In place of Doc's red head. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later.